soul. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Radio Generation. My name is Mungala, Mbuvi, and the time right now is exactly 1 minute past 6 o'clock. It is the first day of July 2025. An absolutely amazing day because you know what? Now we are sure that we are literally officially into the second half of the year.
Wow. Good morning. Good morning. You know, mwaka mzima 6 months down. Yeah, tumesalia na 6 months.
Imagine.
Yes.
And like we said, this is week number 3 for Radio Generation. We are so bumped, so happy, so excited. That so far so good. Now today we have got a couple of things lined up for you. We're going to be having some amazing guests in studio. I shall be telling you about them shortly. But also most importantly, we shall be going through the newspapers also at around 6:30 o'clock. And we shall be telling you the stories that have been trending in the last couple of hours. That is from yesterday when we left you up until right now, 2 minutes past 6 o'clock. What's happening? So do tune in for that. My name is Mungala Mbuvi, and of course I'm seated across Patricia.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Triciah Wayua. You can call me Tricia, you can call me Patricia. Either works.
There's someone who asked me. He's a very big fan of ours.
Okay.
Aliniuliza, mbona kuna wakati unaita Patricia? Kuna siku nyingine unamuita Tricia, wakati mwingine unamuita Trish, wakati mwingine unamuita Wayua.
Yes.
Nikamwambia sasa, ukishazoeana na mtu, saa zingine unaweza muita zingine hata za nyumbani.
Yes.
Basically, but you well?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm well. Zote ni majina zangu. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. 1st of July. Wow.
Yes, it is.
And of course, the world observes some special days. Do you like reggae music?
Oh yeah, I'm a very big fan of Lucky Dube. Very big fan of Vibes Cartel. He does mostly dancehall though. But yeah, I like reggae for sure. Akina Barrington Levy, mimi ni mtu wao. Akina Vegas, mimi ni mtu wao.
Yeah. The likes of Kina Chronics.
Exactly.
Yes. So basi, today is your day.
World Reggae Day.
Is International Reggae Day.
You don't know, tell them say palalo wagwan.
In a easier time, right? Yeah, in a easier time.
Good stuff.
Yes. So today, International Reggae Day, of course, celebrated globally, and of course celebrates the reggae music and its cultural impact with events like concerts and tributes to artists like Bob Marley.
Good stuff. Yeah, we give thanks to the Father, you know, because of reggae music actually has really come through for a lot of people. It's one of we call it conscious music, you know. So and it's very. But the reggae music sometimes is very political.
Yeah.
For instance, if you listen to the likes of Bob Marley, Lucky Dube, hiyo ni 100% politics. Yes. And
I like it that they push for morality, they push for good governance.
Yes.
So they do have that cultural impact in our societies, and it is very important that we celebrate. You know, wanasema kwamba a Rasta man is a peaceful man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, man.
Well, it's also another international day. International Joke Day, also celebrated observed globally. That is light-hearted day, encouraging humor and laughter.
Exactly. Everyone needs to laugh in their life. A small humor here and there, unasahau stress, you know, like for example, our country is going through so much. So that's why we need comedians such as, you know, Eric Omondi, Wayua, Churchill, or tukumbushe the funnier side of life. Yes.
Yeah, it's very important. And also on the other side, we have several African countries celebrating their Independence Day.
Okay.
The likes of Somalia. You know, there's a section of Somalia that was colonized by the British.
Yes.
Ambao walipata independence yao on 26th.
Okay.
Na kuna that other part ambao walipata on the 1st
yes.
of July.
Wait,
so that now they combined together, they became Somalia.
Okay.
Yes.
So they celebrate it today.
Yes.
A big shout out to them. We hosted the ambassador last week on Friday, and he told us that yesterday they were having an event, which I understand was very successful.
Yes.
And I wish them all the best.
Yeah. And also other countries like Burundi, Rwanda,
also celebrating their independence today.
Their independence today. Actually, they were colonized by the Belgians.
There was I think they speak French, so maybe a Belgium and perhaps France. Yes.
Both
like
of them,
I said,
and they got independence the same day.
I did history kitambo kidogo. But happy Independence Day to Burundi, and you've said also Rwanda?
Yes, Rwanda.
And Somalia.
Somalia, yes.
Happy Independence Day to you people. I'm sure you want to give us the train. Is it the train?
No, I'm not going to give you the train. It is the train which is taking us somewhere.
I thought you were going to give it to us, then we drive it away.
No.
Okay.
What you need to get is what we will find there after the train arrives, and we are going all the way, the RGK train going all the way to some place in India.
Hey, okay, give it to us now.
And this is the quote. Tumeenda pale, tumepata quote pale, and this is what it says: an eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind.
Oh yeah, that's by Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes, yes. An eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind.
True. If I take your eye, then you revenge and take mine, then I'll revenge and take your other eye, then now you revenge and then you take my other eye, then we are all blind.
Sisi wote tunakuwa
or your children take my eye, then now my children also take their eyes, and then it's a whole vicious cycle of just revenge, which is not good. Yes, so an eye for an eye leaves the entire world blind. Mahatma Gandhi.
And we have seen.
Yes.
We are seeing. Tunaona vile mataifa yanapigana.
Kweli.
Yeah, because umetufanyia hivi na sisi pia tunataka to revenge. Yeah, revenge most of the time doesn't benefit, by the way.
True.
Revenge does not benefit. So in whatever thing that you are doing today, this month, in your life, revenge doesn't really just benefit that much the way we sometimes we think. Yeah. Okay.
Now, our first guest for today is going to be none other than Chief Officer Environment in Nairobi County. That is Geoffrey Mosiria. You guys have seen him. He's been trending so much lately. And we need to have a conversation with him about just restoring sanity in Nairobi.
Yes.
Not just about the environment, because we've seen him very vocal also on other issues, and we'll try and capture that as well. So that is coming up at exactly 7 in the a.m. And then come 9 o'clock, we shall be having our second guest. That is Mundalo M. Advice. That's actually his name.
Yes.
Mundalo. So Mundalo is the National Youth Chair, Jubilee Party, and MD, Two Sense Leadership Institute. Today we're going to be talking about politics versus governance, which way we want to take. We know the Jubilee Party recently went through a storm and they came out of it. So we're going to be talking about that and much more. Obviously, just speaking about the vision of the former president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, what he is envisioning for the youth, because clearly this is the chair of the National Youth of the Jubilee Party. So do stand by for that one, a conversation you definitely want to have. Right now though, allow me to direct you to rgk.co.ke. That is where we're going to be doing our first news check. Yes, so please, that is rgk.co.ke. Let's go together, because there's some top stories there. And as you do that, I'd also like to remind you that our WhatsApp is live. You can WhatsApp us on 011-692-8683. That is 011-692-8683. That is Radio Generation.
And also to remind you to follow us on our social media platforms.
Yes,
Radio Gen KE on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube,
right,
and even on Facebook. You can also follow us at Radio Generation Kenya. There you're gonna find us live.
Right. Sawa. Let's get on to our first story, and this one is about the postmortem, which confirms that Emali protesters were shot as families demand justice. A story by Tanya Wanjiko actually just posted a couple of minutes ago, and that's why we tell you, when you check out rgk.co.ke, not only do you see us live, but you get live updates on the go, literally, as we discuss them. So here's what that story says. Postmortems confirm Emali protesters were shot as families demand justice. Now, 2 young men who lost their lives during the June 25th protests in Emali, Makueni County, died from gunshot wounds. Postmortem examinations have confirmed intensifying public concern over public conduct during the nationwide demonstrations. Gerson Motesia, 33, and Peter Makao Mwaluko, who was also 23, the previous one was 33, that is Gerson, were both shot in the chest with the bullets exiting through their backs. This is according to an autopsy released on Monday. Now, their families, devastated by the loss, are demanding answers and accountability.
Wow.
Yes. So, again, Gerson Mutesia, 33, Peter Makao Mwaluko, yes, 33 and 23.
Yes, Emali has been one of the places where, remember last year?
Yes.
During the demonstration also, people were also killed there.
Yes.
This time around also, people have been killed. So I do not understand. We don't understand whether the police there are quite different from the other areas in the same place. Because Emali has been, most of the time, it has been always chaotic when it comes to protests.
Yes.
Yeah, so
that is in Makueni County.
Yes.
Now, what I wonder, because the families are demanding justice, where exactly were these individuals, shot? Were they shot? Because we understand that some people who attacked some police stations around the country.
Yes.
Were these ones shot in that situation, or were they shot in the streets? But clearly, from what I see from this story written by Wanjiko, this obviously happened somewhere in the streets. They were not necessarily attacking anyone or attacking a government installation or attacking people, but they ended up losing their lives.
Yeah, it was during the protests.
I feel so tired and lethargic talking about this. I think what we need to be reporting going forward is what the government is doing about it. What we, the citizens, are doing about it. Clearly, there's a disconnect between the people who are supposed to protect and serve and those ones who are supposed to be protected and to be served. And I feel like every single time we are looking at these stories and we are announcing dead people, I wonder when we're going to stop. I wonder when we'll start reporting stories like, oh, these officers were arrested. This was the music they faced. And this is what the law says about it. And I would like also to start reading statements from people like the police. Because, yes, so far they have been doing a good job. Let me commend them in regards to those ones who actually came out to speak against the violence. We saw a couple of videos over the weekend, actually from Friday spilling over to the weekend, of officers coming out and saying that they will not obey any shoot to kill order, regardless who's giving it. If it is unlawful, it is definitely not going to be followed.
Yes.
And those are the kinds of police officers I say, Mungu awabariki tena sana. And to the others who are being rude to Kenyan citizens, who believe that they are above the law, I honestly wonder where in this Kenya of ours they fit. Yes. Yeah. So I'll just say this. I know we have to report these stories, and I know we have to say them. And of course we shall say them, and we shall continue reporting them. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I am just getting tired of these stories.
Yeah.
Yes. And I sympathize with the families of the affected, the deceased individuals as well. Because kama mimi ninafeel hivi nikiwa hapa, I can only imagine what the families of these individuals are feeling
and what they are going through. I think it is just high time that we need to see the government also act. Yeah, because most of these people, they died in the hands of the police.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, in the hands of the police. So we just want to see the government, when it comes to death, we say life is just sacred. So anytime you are taking away life, we also want to see the government being remorseful. Because you don't want to tell me that all these people who are shot were the goons. You get? You don't want to tell me that all these people who are shot were the goons. I'm just
And
wondering that
and if they were
the
goons.
people that we were seeing on the cameras, on the CCTVs, trying to breaking into shops, looting people's properties and so forth.
Yeah.
I don't think we have seen these people being arrested, except for this this one story here, where I'm seeing 25 goons.
Yes.
Yesterday were arraigned for causing for doing a robbery.
Yes.
During the 25th Kikuyu protest.
Now, these are the stories I would be gladly reporting and happy to report and seeing their faces and calling them out. Because when the rest of the country is trying to achieve something positive for everyone, someone else is on the opposite side doing something different. And I know we can argue differently about it, and I'm sure if you sit these people down they'll tell you, but unajua Mbuvi manze mi nimesota, Mbuvi manze sijakula siku ngapi, I'm unable to pay rent, mtoto wangu wako hospitali, wife yangu ameniacha because nimesota. I am sure they have a reason. Yes. Some of course are just being wanakuwa tu magaidi for absolutely no reason. You know, a rebel without a cause. Lakini kuna wengine ukiwakalisha vizuri watakwambia manze Mbuvi ni kunoma. However, I don't feel like that's an excuse. A lot of people wako hiyo place noma unasema. But they're coming out with better solutions. We cannot, just because ni kunoma, we cannot endanger the lives of others. True. Just because ni kunoma, we cannot destroy other people's property, and just because ni kunoma, we can't just go and loot, because wewe sasa umetoa noma kwako ukiwekea mtu mwingine noma, and that's not how we do it. You shouldn't shift your problems to someone else. We need to come together as a people and just see the way forward. So you can actually read that story that Patricia has mentioned. For a second there your name eluded me, but yeah, you can read that story. It's on rgk.co.ke. 7 arraigned over arson robbery in June 25th Kikuyu protests. Unaona hapo kuna watu wangapi? Watu 7 na wanakama riffraff maze. Wanakama riffraff. Unajua ndio watu wanapatianga watu wako na madread ya bad name. And watu wanapatianga watu wako na rugged hair a bad name.
Yes.
Because sasa all of them, I'm looking at maybe just one of them is bald headed and the other one has got short hair, but the rest wako na tumatuta. Na nyinyi ndio mnafanyanga sasa sisi wanaume wengine tukishuka sasa tunaanza kuangaliwa kama wezi. Ama ukipata na jamaa wako na rasta anaanza kuangaliwa kama wezi. These are the folks giving us a bad name. So
okay, I know bad people most of the time they do not put that face. It's only that I don't know how but unapata, have you not seen thieves?
Yes.
Who are so smart. They put on even suits.
Yeah, of course.
Amechana nywele vizuri. Amenyoa vizuri sana, but that guy is the baddest of all thieves.
Look, a thief is a thief, whether they are wearing a suit, whether they are wearing pajamas, or whether they are wearing jackets and have got dreadlocks like these guys. But I'm just saying, how can we have, out of 7, 5 of you mko na madredi na rugged? Nyinyi ndio mnachomea. Sasa kuna mtu tu, yani tu kuna mtu hapa tu Nairobi tu anaamua tu kuwa na rugged hair. Like I had rugged hair a couple of months ago and I liked rocking that hairstyle, but now you can imagine ningekuwa natembea in the streets wakati wa maandamano, maybe hata mimi ningebebwa kama ndio ninakaa kama goon. Anyway, on to some good news. There's a story here on the website. Health Ministry waives medical bills for Nairobi protest victims. I'm saying it's good news. It's bad that we got here where now the government has got to waive fees. But nonetheless, they have stepped up, and I believe we should give credit where it's due. Now, the Ministry of Health has directed the Kenyatta National Hospital to waive medical bills for victims of recent anti-government protests in Nairobi, including that of Hoka Boniface Kariuki, who died in hospital on Monday. Boniface Kariuki, may he rest in peace. Tuliambiwa bili yake, according to the family when they spoke on Sunday, bail ilikuwa imefika over 3.5 million.
3 something billion.
And let's even just give it a blanket amount of 4 million, because there's so much. There is the whole funeral expenses that now they have to think about. Just ensuring that he gets a decent burial, a burial that 2 weeks ago he never thought he needed. This guy was okay. He didn't have asthma. He didn't have anything. He was just okay. He didn't have a mental issue. He was just in the streets, a hustler that this government said that they would protect. And Boni right now, hopefully where he is, he's dancing with the angels. But this is wrong on so many levels. And I hope other police officers have learned from this. That life, number one, is very precious.
Yes.
And you need to know the impact, to see the impact of your actions as a police officer.
And I also want to remind people that there is nothing that should warrant you the need to kill somebody. I don't think.
Sure.
I don't think, and especially an armed person, I don't think there is anything, hata tuseme amekutukana, amefanya nini, I don't think there is a reason why you should just decide to pull the trigger and just terminate someone's life. That's it doesn't warrant at all.
Yesterday, remember our guest, Abdullahi Alas?
Yes.
He said, like, there are so many places you can shoot someone. If indeed you are hellbound on stopping these protests.
Yeah.
If indeed that person is not doing what aligns with the constitution, alisema unaweza mshoot kwa mguu, unaweza mshoot kwa paja, unaweza mshoot kwa makalio, unajua ile kumshtua. Na wakati huo unatumia nini? Rubber bullets. Umshtue kidogo afanye nini? Atulie. Kwanza, according to Abdullahi, I don't know if he's been shot before. We probably need to ask him that question. But he said that when you shoot someone in the leg with a rubber bullet, you disable that person immediately there on the spot, and that person will think twice about whatever they were doing. So kama ilikuanga ni goon, venye tumekuwa tukisema hapa, kama ni goon ukimwachilia moja ya mguu, huyo jamaa ata think twice. Hata ataambia wenzake, wase, kuna kitu imeniguza hapa bana, hebu tuende nyumbani. So I just hope that this is a lesson to our forces.
Well, for those of you who do returns late, mmehurumiwa kidogo. So KRA yesterday extended a tax filing deadline by only 24 hours. So I think you have today to do your returns.
Yes.
You have today to do your returns. And you know, so many Kenyans have been asking if my employer has been deducting me my pay as you earn, amekuwa kipeleka tax yangu, why do I have now to file returns?
Right.
It is important that you tell the government, you assess yourself. By it's called the self-assessment. You are assessing yourself and telling the government, this is the much that I was able to earn last year.
Yeah.
You get, this is all my income last year, and now your share is supposed to be 30%. Ndo nililipa in advance in form of maybe pay as you earn, which you are deducted at work, and then now this is what is remaining. Now wadai ama mnanidai. It is important you do that self-declaration through filing of returns every other end of the year.
End of the financial year.
Yes, the financial year, yes.
Now, I have opinions.
Okay.
About tax returns.
Which are they?
Number one.
Yeah.
I have been paying the government tax since that financial year began. So government inajua ile pesa ni. Ume make mistake ukifanya tax return, and then when you upload that Excel sheet, the whatever, the system tells you ati hapana, hapa kuna some 3,000 ulikuwa umesahau ku declare.
Yeah.
So the government already knows. Why are they making this process very complicated? And I'll be very honest. Mimi nimesoma.
Yeah.
Lakini wakati mwingine, and you know, we only do tax returns once a year.
Yeah.
So how I did it last year, I can't remember this year. And actually this year, as I was doing my returns, nilisaidiwa. Because I was like, wait a minute, last year how did I do it? And this is the funny part. Previous years, nimekuwa nikisahau pia. So every time first of all, my password keeps changing. I don't know why. I don't know why the KRA password keeps on changing. Why we need to update our KRA password every financial year. I have had the same Facebook password since Facebook began. I have had the same X password since Twitter began. I have had the same Instagram password since, but for KRA, I've had Facebook longer than KRA, but I have had more passwords for KRA than any other website I've ever had to log in.
You know, those are systems, and those are some of the procedural
for security.
Yes, for security purposes.
So
it's usually important you update.
Wakati nilikuwa najaza nika upload hiyo karatasi yangu, so waliniambia wakanipatia ka survey, wakaniuliza, so how is it? I told them the truth. Niwaambia, you guys are complicating this thing bana. It's easier for me to upload a picture on Instagram. It's easier for me to tweet. It's easier for me to to do even YouTube than it is to file my returns. Why do they make it complicated? Yani unafungua iko kijikaratasi unapata yani kuna tabs hivi. Sijui kuna moja ya pay, sijui loss and profit, sijui income tax, sijui withholding tax, sijui what other tax. Bwana.
And you know, okay, you are asking something that that has been pertinent among many Kenyans, and it's important to note that there are some other incomes that you get which KRA is not privy of. And that is why you saw the other day they were pushing to be allowed to be able to access your private data, especially financially, because there are some incomes unapata and they are not recorded anywhere in terms of maybe taxation. You know, kuna watu wakikulipa they will withhold some tax. Once they take that tax to KRA, at least KRA they are able to know that hapa ulilipwa pesa fulani, because
mimi hata shida yangu sina shida na kudeclare. Mimi ukitaka kujua zile biashara ninafanya, just come and ask me and I'll let you know.
But who is going to come and ask you?
And also when I'm on the website, I want to let you know. Because either way you will know. If I have been paid by Patricia is going to file the taxes somewhere when she's doing her part. And Patricia will declare, I paid Mbuvi 5,000 shillings. So either way, mutanipata mkitaka. But I want you to make it easier for me to let you know who I am doing business with and how I do business with them. The jargon on that website, the jargon on that Excel sheet, to be honest, for the common mwananchi, mimi I'm lucky ninajuana na some accountants here and there watanisaidia. Watanambia Mbuvi leo pepe yako nikuonesha. Sasa hapa utajaza hivi. Hapa weka hivi. I'm lucky I have that info. But someone like my grandmother who is huko in Shags, atajua aje? And me sitaanza kuenda Kitui every now and then just to help my grandmother rather file her returns. You know what I'm just asking, and I told them in that survey, and I hope they will find it and take it seriously. Just make it easier for Kenyans to file returns. And by the way, your form doesn't even come in Swahili. It is in pure English. Surely in a country that has got 47 tribes. Come on.
So that is why they want to access your private financial data,
they
information, so that now you don't have to watakuwa nakuambia Mbuvi hapa ulilipwa this much, what was this meant for, nini ya nini, so that you can be able to declare.
So they're making life difficult for me so that they can have the permission to come into my
I would ask you,
my papers,
if you were in their position, how would you do it? Because I understand, but these are systems that have been they have been there. I'm not justifying that they should make it complicated for the users, but these are systems that have always been there, and I think with time they get to learn, they get to understand, they get to see where the challenges are and how are we going to correct these challenges. And that is why maybe they are looking now for a way to be able to access your data. So after accessing your data, pengine itakuwa a bit easier for you to do the filing. Like ukifanya withholding, it is easier for them to know you did what, you were paid, or you were paid some money. So they tell you declare this amount.
Look, I really understand. I don't want to pretend that I understand the work of accountants and why they need all that information the way they've put it there, so that because kuna zingine hapo they want me to declare what I paid for electricity, what I paid for bus fare. So when I went to a hotel, you know how much I paid there.
That is for your business.
Exactly. So I feel like that's just a complicated. For example, I was at a hotel in Diani last year, sometime in, I can't even remember whether it was February or March. I can't remember the room that I slept in and how much I paid for it, because to be honest, it's not like I go around carrying receipts. Supermarket nimeingia, kuna wakati nimenunua kalamu ninahitaji kufanyia kazi yangu, kuna wakati nimenunua two earphones, kuna wakati nimenunua batteries. I can't remember all that information, you see. So they need me to fill all that in some paper, and yet I can't. Sometimes unatokanga supermarket kama umetupa hiyo receipt.
That is the reason why, if you are running a business, if whatever you are doing is business related, you know you're gonna get some income. That is why you need to do some bookkeeping. You need somebody, a tax somebody to consultant to help you.
Kuna wakati nimeenda hapa Serena Hotel, nimeketi na client, tumeongea, nikamnunulia chai, ndio anipatie hiyo biz. These are things I can't remember. Hiyo chai sikumbuki ilikuwa pesa ngapi. Unaona? Kuna wakati nimefuliza for the same business. Hizo ni vitu sikumbuki. So all I'm saying is, tafadhali KRA, tafadhali Just make things easier for us. And then the funny thing is, on the website they already have your withholding certificates, they already have your other payment details and every. So uende pale tu, yani kazi yako tu ni kuclick confirm tu. Wakwambie Mbuvi, do you remember in January this is the certificate we gave you? Yes, niseme okay fine. And in February this is on aya, just confirm and I'm done. Kazi ya dakika mbili. Do you know why they've extended the return to today till midnight tonight? It is because the system is jammed. Everyone is trying to do these things last minute. Yes. And it's not like we don't know we need to file returns. Actually, from January 1st, you should be able to do returns for 2024 or 2025. Yes, from January 1st unaweza. Lakini they just make their process complicated.
No, let's just say it's just that we are not in a hurry. Like sisi tunapenda last minute. Unajua? Tunapenda last minute.
Okay,
yesterday somebody was just calling me like nani usiku. Oh my dear, sija file returns, nisaidie sijui nini. So me I'm like surely. All those days.
Imagine.
Like unakuja kuona the need to file today. By the way, if we are talking of revenue for the country.
Right.
We cannot talk about revenue without talking about KRA.
True.
Because KRA is the one that is majorly mandated in for revenue collection in terms of those taxes, in terms of some fines, penalties, and so forth. So it is important that if we are looking to collect revenue for this country,
KRA has to be part of the conversation.
Zile tunaongea pale kwa ile bajeti, then we must tell KRA how much you are earning so that now KRA can take their share.
Let's get into some traffic reports, and then when we come back we get into more news updates.
Traffic.
Sasa mko wapi wenzangu? Mko barabarani mmekwama ama mko nyumbani mko kitandani? This morning when I was leaving, there's a neighbor who had blocked me, so I had to wake them up to open the door for me, to move their vehicle for me. And the first thing they asked me, surely, at 4, where are you going? I told this particular individual, I don't want to say whether it was a him or a her. Nikamwambia sasa zile nyinyi mnalala, kuna Wakenya wanajenga taifa. Sasa sisi ndio tunajenga taifa at 4 a.m. So this is what is happening. For those of you who have not yet left home and you're on Mombasa Road, for instance, at 6:32 you're safe. You can still get to where you're going. However, kama wewe uko sehemu za Thika Road and you're approaching the Nairobi CBD, kuna mahali panaitwa, I don't know, wait, actually your road is very clear. Mko sawa nyinyi, hamna shida. Haile Selassie Avenue though, this time it's bumper to bumper when you're getting in and out of Haile Selassie from both sides of the roundabout. So that means if you're coming from Ngong Road, hakuna traffic, lakini ukiingia Haile Selassie and you're trying to get all the way to Akina Marikiti, huko kuna traffic bumper to bumper. Lakini kama pia unatoka Marikiti unaingia Tao, pia bumper to bumper. That's the only road right now that I'm seeing that has got traffic on my map. Landis Road though, also bumper to bumper this particular hour. Let's hope things ease up for you as the hour moves on.
I'm seeing Uhuru Highway, Waiyaki Way, everything for now is quite okay, except around Nyayo Stadium and Museum Hill. Those are the areas where I'm seeing traffic. I'm also seeing Outer Ring, kila kitu iko shwari. Kila kitu iko shwari except ukija kutokea Kariobangi pale, there is a bit of a snarl up. And then there is also Ngong Road. Ngong Road are quite okay except around around Arcade, that is Adams Arcade, and around Kenyatta, ukipita pale Kenyatta, then as you get to town through pale Community, those are the areas I'm seeing traffic on that road. Mombasa lights Kengeleni, kwa sasa things are not bad. It's quite early. Things are not that bad.
Okay, right, so that's your traffic update at this particular minute. Anything you think we need to know about incidences, nini, remember I've told you our WhatsApp number is 011-692-866 sorry, that is 011-692-8683. Let us know, we shall definitely keep the country updated.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
Alright, so tuendelee na conversation yetu. We were just going through rgk.co.ke, letting you know what's trending and what's making headlines in the last couple of hours. There's this story here, Patricia. Gachagua not under probe over protest violence, says DCI. That's by Rose Ochieng. Now, if you guys are not aware, there were rumors yesterday
Yes.
that there was an imminent arrest for former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, because apparently people close to him were saying that the government is planning to do what? Kamata him. Kwa sababu walikuwa nasema yeye ndiye aliorganize June 25th, 2025.
Yes, and the other day he told them I'm here. Come and arrest me. Yes.
Akwambia ateni kujifanya ati amjui mali niko.
Aliwaambia niko hapa Karen. You know where I am.
Kwanza aliambia Murkomen.
Yes.
Wacha kujifanya ati unaniongelesha huko kwa magazeti, kwa media. Kuja hapa. So here's the thing. And I'll let you know what some of the political pundits out here saying, because I consulted some of these guys. They were saying that there was a plan to arrest Gachagua. And this guys is just a conspiracy theory. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. So they're saying that if they arrest this guy, that is Gachagua, obviously Murima watasikia wameguzwa.
Yeah.
Unaona? Na Murima wakiguzwa, they were going to prove that indeed Gachagua was just nothing but a tribalist. And then when there's an uprising in Murima, they do what? They come in hard. Na wainyamazishe. Nona. Na wakinyamazisha na they start perpetuating this idea that, you know, Gachagua was just a tribal politician. He was just, you know, trying to radicalize the youth of Mount Kenya. So basically kwanga kumchomea picha. And the government, now from the political pundits that I was watching and talking to rather, they said that if that were to happen, then that would mean that now the government had the ruhusa ya ku enforce very harsh rules on the population. And through that tunanyamazishwa na wanafanya biashara yao bila stress. That apparently was the plan for arresting Gachagua. But now DCI has come out to say that, hold on guys, mbona mnasema vitu mingi hapa hivi? We are not after this guy. So this is what DCI have said. Director of Criminal Investigations, Mohamed Abin, has dismissed claims that former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is under investigation over the violence that broke out during the June 25th protests, saying that he has not been summoned by the police. He added that the former DP, like all citizens, is subject to the law, and he does not enjoy any immunity from prosecution. If in our investigations he is found to have aided or abetted any criminal activity, then appropriate action will be taken. Giving an update on last Wednesday's event, Amin described the unrest as a tragic takeover of peaceful demonstrations by organized criminal gangs. That is, the Mudosi of DCI. Wewe unaamini story? Ama waliona wakiguza mlima ndio kutakuwa kubaya?
Well, you know, Gachagua himself, you know, I had challenged them and I told them, come arrest me and I'm going to tell you who was behind these goons. Na uliona alisema kabisa, they know who was behind these goons. Na alipeana examples nyingi sana. Alisema how these goons were looting properties for the Mount Kenya people, businesses for the Mount Kenya people. Well, I don't know why most of these times, every now and then we are talking of tribes. Sometimes me nasikia pia
imekuchosha.
Yeah, inanichosha. Like, why should we be talking of tribes? You know, this is just meant to cause more division in our country.
Right.
Every time, like, people are talking about something that has happened in our country, wanazunguka wanaleta tribes pale.
So many corners, eh?
Yes, wanapiga kona nyingi, then finally tunakuja ku end up in, and you know, when a matter becomes now tribal, getting a solution pia inakuwa ni shida sana. Inakuwa ni vuta pia mimi ni kuvute.
Kweli?
Yes, so inakuwa ni it just turns out to be more chaotic than because now unaona sasa the whole thing vile sasa inazunguka. Yeah? Tunazunguka mlima imeingilia pale. Sijui a certain community imeingilia pale.
Ni kweli.
Sijui image of the leader in that community pia imeingia pale. So easy politics za Kenya, whatever we are doing nowadays, I think people have known, and they have known where the problem is with Kenyans. And these politicians pia wamejua, and the government pia imejua where the problem is with Kenyans. Don't touch my tribe. Don't touch my people.
Yeah.
Unaona? So most of the time unaweza fanya makosa na ukimbia behind your tribe. Yes. Well, I'm not saying that Gachagua did anything, yeah? tunasema you are just you are innocent until you're proven guilty. Yes. So I'm not saying Gachagua was behind this, but I'm telling you, every time something happens in our country, our leaders have known, the government has known where our problem is. Wamejua pahali wakishika, Mkenya ataamuka, Mkenya atafanya chenye tunataka.
I honestly feel like the people who are pro-tribalism, if we were to wake up and Kenya is no longer tribal, let's just say for some strange reason, magic, tuamuke and Kenyans are not affiliated according to their tribes, they're just affiliated according to, you can do this, you're unable to do this, so you can be able to do this, so help us in this kind of way. The day we shall wake up in that particular situation, I promise you, a lot of politicians are going to be rendered jobless.
Yes.
Because the only thing they are bringing to the table is their tribe. Yes. But if we were to get away from that tribal mongering, to be honest, kuna watu kabisa hawatakuwa na kitu ya kusema. They will have nothing to offer this country. Yes. So, and I can't wait for that day.
I'm just looking forward to, at a time when now Gachagua will talk without saying the Mrima people.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because here you have been accused. Wewe ndo, kwa mfano, if you are accused, you are the one who is accused of maybe doing this.
Right.
He should not go back now to the Mrima people, surely.
Well, wacha tuone. What I can only say is that it's either they wake up and smell the coffee, or come 2027. I'm telling you, majority of these guys will go.
All of them will go.
But not all of them. If you're going to be honest,
I'm saying all of them. Those who are trying to divide people.
Yes.
In tribal ways. Yeah. Most of them, of course, will be going home.
Okay. Still on matters politics and matters abductions and matters disappearances and so on and so forth. The court has ordered the IG The court has ordered the IG to produce missing blogger Diangui Kinyagia. The High Court has compelled Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja to present blogger Diangui Kinyagia, who has been missing for the past 10 days. Justice Chacha Mwita, who is handling the matter, emphasized that the case involves a habeas corpus application concerning a Kenyan citizen whose life may be in jeopardy. This concerns a human being. I have considered the fact that the second applicant has been unaccounted for 10 days, for over 10 days actually, and this raises serious concerns over their safety, the judge said. Now, the court has directed that the application be served to all named respondents by close of business on Monday, with their replies expected within 7 days. In a firm directive, Justice Mwita instructed the IG to either produce Kiangui in person or deliver a credible explanation for his absence by 11 a.m. on Tuesday during a scheduled in-person mention of the case. So, the legal action was prompted by a rising concern over Kiangui's prolonged disappearance, which has fueled fears of a possible case of enforced disappearance. Okay. So, today, by 11 a.m., that is how many hours from now? Saying it's 6:42. So, in 4 hours and 18 minutes, it's either we're going to know where Kiangui is, or someone is going to be in serious problems. And I hope we are going to discard this culture of ignoring court orders. Yes, especially by the high and mighty in this country, whether it's the political elite or the police, because many times the police doesn't listen to courts.
They don't.
And they always give excuses. Oh, I'm in a security meeting. Unajua kuna excuses zingine wanatumianga mpaka unashangaa sasa huyu mtu utamwambia aje. And you know for a fact they are not at a high level security meeting. National security issues are being discussed. Siwezi kuja kotini saa hizi. Kuna an imminent situation. I am trying to do what? I am trying to take care of
that
here.
situation, you can leave it to other people. You are not the only.
You can delegate.
Delegate that responsibility to somebody else.
Yes.
Si lazima wewe ukue pale. Si lazima wewe ukue pale. And if in any case, uko na issue, you have an issue to answer to.
And how comes those issues only come up when you're needed in court? Every other time we'll see you sijui uko Mombasa training, uko sijui Samburu unaongelesha wa Masai uko, mara uko kwa nini ukiongelesha watu uko kwa lake. Lakini ile siku court inasema be here by 11, suddenly you need to go and deal with Al-Shabaab. As though Al-Shabaab umeanza kudeal nao leo. Let's just hope that by 11, I cannot imagine being a family member of Kiangui. Yani that, I'm assuming that's my brother or uncle or whoever. Na niko hapo tu umse ako missing na tujui. Na tuna yani kila siku tukiamka hivi tunangoja kusikia the news.
It's painful. It's painful, and it's not for him alone.
Yeah.
We have so many other families that have been we have so many other families ambao pia wamepoteza watu. Kuna other families like the one for Boniface ambao pia wamepoteza wapendwa wao katika njia zenye hazifai.
Yeah.
So it's painful to every other Kenyan, and you know, most of the time what we say, ukiona cha mwenzako chanyolewa, chako unaanza kukitia maji. Yeah. It's a saying that maybe people can wanaiona too, but this is something that we are seeing in our countries, because who knew, like when you wake up in the morning on that 25th, like kama Boniface, did he know that akitoka kuna vile like yeye anaenda kuuza mask and of maybe at the same time also commemorating the late Gen Zs, and then you don't know that the same gun that fell those others, the same gun that is going to finish you up. So it's just something that we have a responsibility to call out all this as a country, because you don't know. Wengine unapigwa na stray bullet.
Yeah.
Hausiki, hauna any, like unapigwa, it was aimed at another person, but inakuja inakupata by mistake.
You know, I'm looking for, last week I think I told you about a country called Liechtenstein. I keep on forgetting that name. But I think about such countries and many more such countries where we never hear of issues such as these ones. Countries like Switzerland, you know, where they do not know even what a protest is. You understand? And I'm just like, how do we deal with that? Here in Kenya, we are having such nonsensical issues such as those ones, but there's another country somewhere else where they don't even know these kinds of drama. I'm just, I don't know when we shall get there.
It's so unfortunate.
Sisi shida zetu manzejo ni za peni mbili, to be honest. Anyway, it's time for us to get into the newspaper review, right?
Yes. Let's
see what is trending on other headlines. For instance, I can see on the Daily Nation, there's this issue of the SHA scandal. The effectiveness of Kenya's most expensive healthcare system put in place to remedy the theft of taxpayers' money that plagued the defunct NHIF has been put to question after some 31 hospitals across 13 counties were found running elaborate deception schemes involving double billing, fake outpatient claims, forced and ghost admissions, as well as pro-authorized code abuse, or the abuses. Now, the revelation of the scam could just be the tip of the iceberg. That story is on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Do you know this is the same issue NHIF had?
Yeah. Actually, that is what I want to tell you. Like, there is some hospital somewhere in Mombasa. I went there for treatment. And then the person who was attending to me, they are like, okay, you are not that badly off, but we are going to admit you. And I'm like, okay, why admit me? Namuliza, is my situation that bad? Like, mpaka lazima you admit me. Wakaniambia, yes, we must admit you kwa sababu this is how we will get paid. Then I'm like, okay, nikamwambia me I don't want to be admitted. Nikamuliza what medication, kwa sababu alisema the medication that they are supposed to give me, it will be catered for by NHIF, and lazima nikuwe inpatient so that they can administer that medication to me. Then I'm like, okay, nikamuliza what about if I buy? Okay, nikamuliza, okay, my cover does not allow me to get maybe outpatient services. Akaniambia, if we are giving you outpatient services, these are the medicines that we are supposed to give you. Na tunakupatia hizi medicines but hauendi kupona. A nurse told me that.
Yeah.
Hauendi kupona. And I'm like, surely.
You know, NHIF, back in the day, when it was still very active, that was before October 2023, NHIF had similar issues. Hizo zote za ghost admissions zilikuwa. Si ninajua NHIF namba yako?
Yes.
Nachukua naiweka kwa system, Sometimes you either know or you don't know. Na tunasema Patricia is undergoing a kidney transplant, for example. And we rake in those millions. Tunaambia NHIF, fine, Patricia alikuja akalazwa na Patricia kulazwa.
Yeah.
So hospitali yangu inalipo hiyo pesa. Either na kuona za macho ama hata huko najua mimi naendelea kuishi maisha yangu vizuri. That is why private insurance companies, whenever you are admitted, they come and confirm that this is Patricia, she's been admitted at this hospital.
Hey, do you know the issue of confirming? There was also another case in that same hospital that somebody was admitted. Yeah? Ameambiwa kwamba we will admit you, akamwambia no, I'm working, I cannot miss work, and sioni kama mimi niko katika hiyo state yenye mnataka kuniweka. So wakamwambia no problem, acha tutakuweka admission, wewe utaenda ufanye shughuli zako usiku, come and sleep. Usiku wewe njoo ulale hapa. Then I heard there's also this hospital that they had admitted somebody, but that person was not in the hospital until now when the inspection came.
Yeah.
When it was time to do inspection. When the people walifika, the inspector walifika pale katika ile hospitali, he had to be called. Yasemekana it was somewhere, alitumiwa ambulance imlete ambulance mbio, ikaenda ikamleta katika hospitali, akapatiwa mavazi huko, and somehow wakaingizwa, akaenda akapelekwa kwa kitanda. By the time these people were getting to the ward,
walimpata.
He was there. Na huyu jamaa ametoka kwa mikutano sijui wapi.
You know, to be honest, I don't doubt that story. Had it been anywhere else, I'd be like, wewe to enjoy wewe. But yeah, this is Kenya, and anything and everything is very, very, very possible. So yeah, that is why, like I said, private insurance companies will always come to confirm that this is the person who we admitted, or rather we are paying for. Because wanajua insurance fraud, it's a big deal. And and it's not just here in Kenya. It's happening everywhere. So 31 hospitals across 13 counties have been shut down by the Ministry of Health over that particular situation, whereby they are collecting money that isn't theirs, and so on and so forth.
Do you think this is the start of a journey to end this insanity that we have been seeing in the health ministry?
To be honest, I wouldn't say it's the start of, because it's not the first time. It's not the first time. So I wouldn't say that it's the beginning of, but I just pray that they intensifying these kinds of crackdowns, because imagine pesa ya SHA ni taxes zetu. Sasa ni pesa imetoka mahali huko kwa miti. They're not growing it in a farm somewhere. And if this is actually our money.
If there's a ministry that is always having scandals, the Ministry of Health. Scandals, left, right, center.
Wacha niseme kama Joho, wako na scandal.
Scandals ziko nyingi sana.
Still on the Daily Nation. 485 individuals have been arrested over deadly June 25th protests, according to the DCI. Now, 448 suspects 448 suspects who have already been charged in court, with 37 under investigation for crimes including murder, terrorism, rape, gang rape, arson, robbery with violence, incitement, and possession of illegal firearms. Yani sasa zile wewe unaenda huko tu kupigania haki zako na haki za Wakenya wenzako. Kuna mwingine anakuja kufanya mambo mengine ambayo si sawa.
And you know, Mungala, sometimes I know I do feel for the government, trying also to be able to administer justice to people. Sometimes they are faced by a big challenge, and this big challenge of being able to identify who was who in those protests. Unajua katika this 485, there must be a number of innocent people there. I'm saying there must be a number of innocent people.
Okay.
But pia kuna wale genuinely walikosa. So I think I don't know vile serikali itaweza kujua kutambua kwamba this is a goon, this is an innocent person, because there is a very thin line, and especially during maandamano kuweza kutambua who is who.
So nikienda kukushtaki, in this case serikali imeshtaki hawa watu. I have burden of proof. It's up to me to prove
yes,
that indeed Patricia did this crime that I'm accusing her of. So that means I produce witnesses. So that is up to the state to produce the witnesses. In the instance of, let's say, like rape, that might be easy to prove if the victims went for medical analysis, wapimwe tu, samples zichukuliwe, and then we can get DNA samples against the perpetrators.
That one is easy.
Or the suspects, yes?
Yes.
In places where maybe arson was committed, we saw a couple of videos of people lighting up county vehicles. I can't remember which county that was, but we saw those videos. I think it was either Murang'a or Kirinyaga, I don't know. But we have the videos of those perpetrators. Video evidence can be presented. We can follow the trail mpaka tujue walinunua mafuta wapi, for instance. So we can tell that they were able to buy it from petrol station A, which is along Ngong Road, or which is along Mombasa Road. So there's the government has got the way they do their proof. And if it is sufficient, obviously utapatikana. But if you were caught by mistake, like you've said,
in the streets,
in these 400 people, kama ulipatikana, maybe uliarrestiwa because maybe ulikuwa unatembea kando ya gun, ama ulikuwa unatembea kando ya mtu ametoka kufanya uhalifu na akamix na nyinyi na mkashuka nyinyi wote, then somehow you can able to nini yourself, you can be able to exonerate yourself. For example, if you are in the protests and you took videos of yourself doing what is right, you can produce that as evidence in court to save yourself. So askari wakisema ati ulipatikana ukichoma nyumba ya wenyewe at 4:30, na wewe utoe video yenye inaonyeshana 4:30, you are right in the middle of Kenyatta Avenue, unajua hapo umejiondoa kwa shida. Yeah, that is why you're told whenever and I think this happened actually from last year, during protests last year, walikuwa nasema document your activities. Document with your phone, or if you're in a group of people, you can document yourselves.
Sure.
Just doing the right thing.
It's important,
so that in case anything happens, in case there's a stray bullet that catches you, that can be documented. In case you also just find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time, that can be documented. Yeah,
that's fair enough.
All right, so that's on the Daily Nation. What's on your end?
On the People Daily, the biggest story there, how Ruto evangelical politics is backfiring. This presidency packaged itself as an act of God, but the lie is fast evaporating as clergy turn against a state. You can find that story on page 4 of the People Daily. Yeah. I'm also seeing another story about MCS raking 1 billion shillings in sitting allowances.
MCS wagani wa Nairobi ama wote?
Well, you can find this story on page 7 of
we have about 1,500 MCS
daily. Yeah,
so it's all of them combined that are raking in a billion.
Yeah, everybody would want a sitting allowance,
because nikisikia in Nairobi County alone, I will start looking for my MCA.
Yes,
animwambia kase hebu kuja hapa tuongee kidogo.
This is not right.
Nasikia mko na 1 billion yangu. You know that's my money. Yeah, give it to me, pay me.
Well, still on the same newspaper, a DCI hints at Gachagua arrest over demo losses on page 5. It is a story that we had already discussed.
Wait, now they want to arrest him again on that paper?
Yeah, on this newspaper dated 1st July. DCI hints at Gachagua arrest over demo losses. Can find that story on page 5.
Okay.
Yes. And then there's a story of Boniface Mwangi, RIP.
Boniface Kariuki.
Actually,
he's called Mwangi Kariuki.
Yes. Yeah. Boniface Mwangi Kariuki. Hawker was shot by police, passes on at Kenyatta National Hospitals. And a lot was being said even before we were able to get this official news. Yeah. Kenyans, a lot was happening, by the way. I don't know whether you met those stories around.
A couple of, like, which one? There were a lot of
about
stories.
A Boniface. About that he had already passed on. It's only that we were not being told.
Walikuwa wanasema according to, again, wale watu wanakuanga. Unajua kuna conspiracy theorists wengi.
Madisi wa huku nje.
Lakini for once ni nakubaliana na wao. Walikuwa wanasema ya kwamba Boniface Kariuki aliweza kupoteza maisha yake kitambo wakati ule ambao alishutiwa. And they were saying that they were just prolonging this announcement. They were keeping it so that they do not agitate people more towards June 25th, 2025. So for the first time, I actually agree with those people, with those conspiracy theorists.
And you could just ask yourself, because the family was saying every day they go, they are not seeing any change.
Yes.
At all. They are not noticing any change at all.
And anyone who knows about brain injuries, even a simple Google search will show you that things were not going to be the same again, ever. That is where we come to a close as far as this conversation is concerned. Don't go too far, because in the next hour, our first guest joins us.
It's 7 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The Ministry of Health has directed the Kenyatta National Hospital to waive medical bills for victims of recent anti-government protest in Nairobi. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale says all medical bills for those injured during the June 17th and 25th demonstrations will be fully waived. The directive applies to patients admitted at KNH will be charged to the hospital's Disaster Emergency Fund. Among those affected was the late Boniface Kariuki, whose hospital bill had reached over 815,000 Kenya shillings at the time of his death. The family of Boniface Kariuki, a hawker who was shot at a close range during the June 17th protest in Nairobi, is now calling for justice following his death on Monday. Kariuki died after nearly 2 weeks in the intensive care unit at the Kenyatta National Hospital. His family confirmed that he passed away on Monday at 3:15 p.m.
So yesterday, after they pronounced him brain dead, they told us to wait for fate. But shockingly today at 3:15, everything happened. So he's no longer with us. The only thing we are seeking is that we really need justice for our son, my cousin, brother. We are seeking for justice. There is nothing else that we want.
He had been on life support since he was rushed to hospital after being shot along Mondale Street as police dispersed protesters during a nationwide demonstration on June 17, 2025. He is Kariuki's uncle Mwangi wa Hillary.
Lazima tungeenda pale tukonfirm ameenda ndio wazime zile mashini zao ili apelekwe mochari. Sasa tumeacha akipelekwa mochari. Amepelekwa hapa Kenyatta National Hospital kabla tumaliza mababili tu transferiwe. Yes. Hatujasikia mtu yote ambaye amekuja kwa familia kusema atasaidia ama serikali. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu wa serikali hata mmoja ameongea na familia kunena mambo ya bill. Kwa hivyo tuko vivo na tuna njia yote, tunaomba Wakenya watusaidie sasa.
Former DP Rigathi Gachagua is not under investigation in relation to the violent scenes that erupted during the June 25th anniversary protest, says DCI boss Mohamed Amin. Speaking to the media on Monday, Amin denied the reports that the investigative agency had summoned Gachagua. However, he made it clear that the former deputy president, like all citizens, is not above the law. Amin added that Gachagua does not enjoy any immunity from prosecution. Therefore, if investigations prove that he aided any criminal activity, then appropriate action will be taken.
As regards Rigathi Gachagua, it is not true that we have summoned Rigathi Gachagua. But I would like to point out very, very clearly that Rigathi Gachagua does not enjoy any immunity against prosecution. He is subject to the laws of the land. If in our investigations he is found to have been involved in any criminal activity, then appropriate action will be taken.
Meanwhile, the DCI boss says blogger Ndiangui Kinyagia is not in police custody. The DCI boss, Mohamed Amin, says Kinyagia was a person of interest to the police after publishing inflammatory materials on social media. He adds police profiled him, identified his residence, and officers conducted a search in his apartment in Kino, but he was not there. Police are now urging Kinyagia to surrender himself to the nearest police station.
Ndagui is not under the custody of officers of the National Police Service. And that is what I'm going to say rightly before the Honorable Judge tomorrow. We don't have him. And wherever he is, he should just come and surrender to the police so as to assist in our investigations.
There is a need to overhaul the global debt system and treat public debt as a tool for development rather than a burden on third world countries. This is according to President William Ruto. Ruto spoke on Monday, June 30th at the 4th Financing for Development Summit in Seville, Spain. He made a passionate appeal for more responsible lending practices and fairer financing mechanisms to suit the unique needs of African economies, including Kenya. The president was critical of worrying trend where debt was used to tighten fiscal nooses around vulnerable nations.
There is now consensus on the need for a development-oriented sovereign debt architecture, where public debt is an instrument for development, not a trap for distress. Additionally, effective debt management and crisis prevention, including debt transparency and responsible borrowing and lending, are key. While lowering borrowing costs and expanding fiscal space is essential for sustainable development.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed. It is now 6 minutes past 7 o'clock, and we have just gotten into this particular hour where we would like to discuss a couple of issues. But let me make it very clear that our guest has not yet shown up. Yeah. Sijui ameogopa. Kwani tumekuwa hapa 2 weeks. Kwani maswali zimeanza kuwa ngumu? Ama ako mahali kwa traffic?
Maybe he's still caught up in some traffic.
Yeah, so our producer is still trying to get a hold of him. We hope that she will be able to achieve that. But even if she doesn't, even if she doesn't, the show must go on.
Of course.
All right. So we were just looking at the papers in the last hour, and a couple of stories, of course, caught our eye. And one of the stories that caught our eye was the NHIF story, which we've just discussed. The second story that has captured our eye was the arrest of 485 individuals suspected to be perpetrators of violence during the June 25th protests. And more stories on the inside. Joho family loses license for 5.8 billion grain facility at the Mombasa port. Let me say that again. Hey, Joho family loses license for 5.8 billion grain facility at the Mombasa port. Yani, there is a family here that controls a grain facility worth 5.8 billion.
Hiyo ni kidogo.
Patricia, what is the most expensive thing you control?
Hiyo ni kidogo. Of course, I know I control a lot of expensive.
What is the most expensive thing under your family?
No, I cannot. Well, I will not be able to say it here. But know that I'm also wealthy. I'm also rich.
What is the? No, there's a difference between rich.
I said wealthy and rich.
You said wealthy and rich.
Yes.
So what is the most? Okay, what is the value of that thing?
Billions of money, of course.
Hebu tuendelea kusoma gazeti. Wewe nimeona hapo na unatuwastia time. You're wasting my breath now.
Well, but you know, this case is a case that has been ongoing for some time. Unajua ni pale port.
Yes.
Unajua kuna zile docking berths pale. Imekuanga na shida, and of course Mombasa, acha tu kuna story nyingi sana hapo za hapo port.
So in its defense, the government said that the move aimed to end the monopoly held by Grainback Handlers Limited. Yani mimi ni kama niko in the wrong profession ama niko a politician.
Well, you said politician is ndio pali unaenda.
Get rich quick.
Yeah.
According to our guest yesterday,
according to our guest, again he said it's also the only place you go that they don't care about your grades.
Yes.
They don't care about what your education level most of the time. And that is why he was like, okay, why for God's sake, why should we have maybe an MP mwenye aitishwi a master's degree aitishwi, and then you're coming to lead people ambao wako na hizo masters, wako na ma PhD. You're coming to make significant, you making decisions that are so critical
to those people that hold those degrees.
People, yes.
What I feel, and I might agree with, not that I actually do agree. I think we should make requirements for this particular seat. This seat where people are supposed to make legislation very, very, very high.
Yeah.
Tuseme lazima ukuwe na at the very least masters. At the very least. Ndio at least uko unajua kufikiria. Well, tunajua kuna watu pia huko maprofesa huko ndani ya bunge pia wanakuanga kidogo tu bongo lala.
Yes.
Lakini I'm assuming if all of them had master's degrees, right now would be very far.
I think the reasoning, the way they approach to some of these matters, some of these motions, some of these bills, I think it's way different.
Yeah.
You remember what the other guest also told us about the budget?
That is a Kiama?
Yes. About the budget. He told us some of these MCAs, they don't understand. Like document imeletwa pale anaelewi kabisa what is there. Hii tunaongea kuhusu nini, they like able try to educate me.
Nothing.
Hii inamaanisha nini?
Sasa ndio maana nimesema kama mimi niko na shida, mimi naamini nimesoma. Niko na shida na kufile two returns. You know? And what about that MCA who has got no idea how a balance sheet looks like? Who has never received a withholding certificate from KRA in his entire life.
And he's the one in control of the resources.
Doesn't know what a P9 form is from an employer. Yeye kitu anajuanga ni tumeketi kwa bunge, ninahitaji sitting allowance ya 20,000. Nimeenda nimeclaim mileage, nilikuanga nimeenda ushago kwa kwetu Mandera, nimeclaim mileage ya 500,000. Hiyo ndio anajua.
So somebody was challenging that question, and he was saying, for God's sake, this is just an MCA. Ye kazi yake ni kusukuma mijadala kule. So and I'm like, ni kupresent mijadala kule. Then I'm like, okay, don't you see hizo mijadala kabla ulete? First of all, you need to understand.
Yeah.
You need to understand where this motion is taking us to. You need to look at its feasibility, like if it was to be adopted, itakuaje? How is it going to affect the mwananchi? How is it going to affect the resources?
And then you just need to be able to articulate.
Yeah.
I have seen in places, nasiko baya. Look, me, I'm not saying that English is the measure of intelligence. Kuna watu kwa lugha ya mama yao wakiongea, they are very intelligent.
Yeah.
And I applaud them. But you're not going to sit in the National Assembly and not be able to articulate issues for Kenyans. Because wewe unaweza kuwa ni Mjaluo kwa mfano.
Yeah.
Lakini mimi sijui Kijaluo. Na nakuheshimu wewe kama Mjaluo, lakini mimi sijui Kijaluo. So ningependa uongee kwa lugha ambayo ninaelewa. Inaweza kuwa ni Kiswahili, inaweza kuwa ni Kizungu. Kama unaweza ongea Kikamba sawa, lakini hizo mbili Kiswahili na Kizungu at least uweze tu kuarticulate. So you'll find a member of either the National Assembly or even the County Assembly.
Yeah.
Trying to talk and they can't even articulate. They can't say hawaelewani hata na speaker. So akapo, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to, it is you're wasting first of all the assembly's time, and you're wasting my taxes because I am not paying you to go there and look like you don't understand what you're saying. So that is why I think maybe perhaps we need to consider making these seats very, very unlucrative. So that when I am paying that member of parliament the 2.5 million that we were told here by Abdullahi, ninaona ya kweli you actually you deserve that 2.5 million. Because number one, I voted for you and you're doing exactly what I wanted you to do, and you're doing it with the intelligence it deserves. Yeah.
Well, he also said that tunahitaji pia pengine tubadilishe, tuende tunafanya translation.
Translation.
The finance bill 2025-2026
Yeah, ndiko kwa Kiswahili.
Translated in Kikamba
in all the Kenyan languages.
you know that's also again a waste of Kenyans resources.
Well, I'm not saying that it needs to
it will be a waste.
I'm not saying that it sorry, I'm not saying that it needs to be translated in every language. However, I feel like we should be able to talk to our languages. At least every single MP, every single MCA, every single senator, every single governor, because they come from counties and they are able to speak the languages in those counties, and they should organize forums where they can discuss those things in the local languages. Yeah. For example, let's even take a county like Kiambu. Kiambu is majorly Kikuyu, right? If we can have Governor Matangi just sit with his people in a town hall somewhere and tell them, look, here's a finance bill. And it won't take long, by the way. It will just take roughly a few days, 3-4 weekend sana, just to articulate, and especially the critical areas of a bill. It might be the finance bill or any other. Just the critical areas. For example, in our county of Kiambu, this bill, if it passes, it will affect us in this way and this way. In the local language.
Yeah.
Come to a county like Samburu. Speak to the people in the Samburu language.
Yeah.
It could be the governor, it could be the senator, it could be someone, but they have to be a local. We never have those sessions. So we might not be able to print the entire constitution into all 47 tribes, but please let us just have it explained to the locals.
Well,
yeah,
well, again, I don't think that is a responsibility that maybe we need to blame the national government for, because now we have the county governments. They are the people who are close to the people down there. They are the leaders who are closer to the people.
It's true.
And then now they are the ones that who are supposed to sit down and come up with ways, like we want to come up with strategies. He bill seems like atuelewi. Can we just do something about our we just put it in a language that we can be able to understand, that a language that my grandmother will be able to understand, that as they go to vote, as they go to do public participation,
they understand.
They understand what they are voting for.
And I like the fact that you said public participation.
Yeah.
Nani wanafanyanga hizi public participations? Ni hao tu politicians. Sini ma MP ndio wale wanapasengi hizo vitu huko kotini. I mean sorry, huko bungeni. Na watu ndio wanafaa kuja kutuambia. Huko mali umetoka, mbunge wako anaongea lugha yako. Ni responsibility yake kukuja kukuambia. Okay, watu wangu wa Nairobi County ama watu wangu wa Mulolongo. This is the situation. Hapa kuna bill. Na ongea in the local language yenye watu hapo wataelewa. Na waambie sasa hivi ndivyo tutamove forward as a people, because he represents that particular area.
Yes.
Yesterday Abdullahi, he said that he is interested in Mandera North. Arudi huko Mandera, aongelesha watu Kisomali.
Of course.
Awaambie sasa, cause yeye anaelewa hii constitution. All right? Yeye anaelewa hiyo bill, anaelewa hizo vitu zote ziko hapo ndani. He might not be able to articulate everything, but he can tell them the critical areas of the bill, you know, and he can work hand in hand with a lawyer from Mandera mwenye anaongea hiyo Kisomali, na awaambie sasa, you know, the lawyer understands some critical things from a legal perspective. I'll explain here pia, because unaweza kuwa MP mwenye maybe background yako is in finance, ama background yako is in law, ama background yako is in agriculture. So we're not expecting that you understand everything about a bill, but you might be able to explain to people and have a conversation. At the end of the day, if we're going to pay you 2.5 million, at least make good use of that money.
So how did we get there, by the way?
How did we do what?
How did we get there?
Oh yeah, we were talking about Joho family, losing license for a 5.8 billion grain facility at the Mombasa port. And we talked about just wealth and where people get this wealth.
Okay.
We found ourselves talking about
politics.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
On page 3 of this newspaper, Islamic law on inheritance overturned. This is the Daily Nation. A woman who had wanted children born out of wedlock stopped from inheriting father's estate. Yeah. So here is a story about children born out of wedlock under Islamic law are entitled to inherit their father's estate, the Supreme Court has said. In a unanimous decision, the full 7-judge bench yesterday held that treating children born within wedlock differently from those born outside of it during inheritance is both discriminatory and unlawful. The court stated that although religion may condemn infidelity and sex outside of marriage, children born from such unions should not be denied their legal rights solely because of their parents' actions. I agree with this one.
I also support.
Hii na support kabisa. Kama baba yako alienda huko akacheza huko nje na alikuwa na mali, watoto wapatiwe. Watoto wote hata wenye ni watoto wa side chick ama wa klande, like we like saying it. And I think the reason for this is because, just as the judge has said, children born out of wedlock should not be subjected to punishments because of the actions of their parents.
It's not their mistake. You need to differentiate. It's not their mistake. And again, they just found themselves.
Yes.
They are born. So it is your mistake. You, the husband, you, the wife. Yeah, it is your mistake. It is not the child's mistake. So it is, sometimes it's so unfair. First of all, there is that trauma the child will go through just naturally for being born out of wedlock, first of all.
Yes.
And then again now, if maybe the parent is not there, or when it comes to the inheritance time, you realize that mtoto pia bado anawekwa kando. It's not fair.
But sasa niko na swali, teacher. What if it is the woman who cheated and got children of another man? These children, are they going to inherit the property of baba wao wa kambo? So let's say man A and woman B have children, but woman B goes and again sleeps with man C and has children D. So children D belong to man C, not to man A. Na tukuje kujua na tufanye DNA na tukuje kurealize watoto sio
makosa ilifanyika. Makosa ilifanyika. Yes.
Sasa bado wata inherit property ya man A. Man A.
Yes.
Yet baba yao ni man C.
Sasa kuna pahali wako. If this is the place they are living, that is the place they are calling home. Ndio hapo wanafaa kufaidi. Because
tumekuwa hapo hivyo, maybe sisi ndio watoto wa man A. Okay? Na tumekuja kudiscover mama yetu alikuwa na uhusiano na man D. Na man C, sorry. Na ndugu zetu akina D wakazaliwa. Sasa tumekuja kujua maybe wakati mzee alienda zake, tukaamua hapana, hapa kidogo ni kama kuna kahesabu akaingiani. Ama hata man C akuja kusema watoto ni wangu na maybe anataka kwenda kuishi na wao mahali ama anataka kuwachukua, I don't know. These dramas that happen. So now what happens when the father A passes on? Do children D
will be lucky? They will be lucky. First of all, kama dad C, father C, of course is going to pia atakuwa na responsibility ya kuhakikisha kwamba anapatia wale watoto D inheritance. And again, father A also has a responsibility of taking care of the people in his household. Where children D are still there. But if children D decide to go to father C, of course sasa wanaenda kuinherit huko. Sasa children of father A of course are going to inherit from father A.
So I'd like, if there's a lawyer out here listening, and I'm sure there is one, or a law student, please tell us what happens. Will the children from father C inherit the property of father A? Ama hapo kunaenda aje?
Well, it looks like a funny discussion, but at the same time it is a very serious serious issue.
What inherit the part of the inheritance that was left to mother B. So if the mother B inherits 50% of mzee's property, so children D are entitled to 50% because it belongs to mother B.
Well, I think that will be personally, I feel it will be something that will be left to the judges. Maybe a decision, like kuna some things they are debatable. Maybe.
Right.
But the bottom line is, first of all, you are given that the right to inherit. Now from there, it is now the decision of the judge. So kuamua, maybe they can weigh they can weigh both. Like now, if these children D uliwalea kama father
wako,
yes, uliwalea kama watoto wako,
yes.
And now wameishi na wewe, they have treated you like their father. Kama ni msaada pengine ulikuwa umeshazeeka pia wewe,
okay.
You have maybe also benefited from them. Maybe yes. I think it will just be fair enough.
Okay.
To
another question as we move on. This is the last one. So let's say man A and woman B, they marry.
Yeah.
And then they give birth to children C. Okay? But then later on mzee akuja kudiscover watoto C hata si wake ni wa man D. Okay? Maybe he discovers that he was impotent. Yeah? He was unable to father children.
Okay.
So just before he passes on, he does a will and writes, my property as man A shall go to the National Police Service. All of it. I've donated it to police officers who were hurt during what is it called? During their service. Yes. I've dedicated all my money. So basically he has given all that money to charity. Then when he passes on, the wife and children C are waiting for what? Waiting for the inheritance. Only to be told by the lawyer, hey, according to the will that man A left,
you are not being
none of you including the wife,
yes,
hakuna kitu mnapata, because alikuja kudiscover that watoto si wake, umekuwa ukimcheza, umezaa watoto watatu, wote hakuna hata mmoja ni wake. So ameamua kupeana hii pesa yote kwa children's home ama kwa charity. Sasa mnafanya nini hapo? Mtaenda kotini ku contest?
No, I think the court, of course, they do respect the will.
Yes.
The will is that document yenye si mzazi ameacha akiandika, this is what I want, this is how I wish my property to be divided. This is where I wish my property to go after I die. Well, right. The will is respected. You get?
Yes.
But then that is why I'm saying sometimes
it can be contested.
Yes, these are things that can be debated at the court, and if people are able to maybe convince and say like, huyu mzee sisi tumemlea.
Yes.
Yeah, huyu mzee tumeishi na yeye sisi kama watoto wake. We do not know any other person.
Right.
It is not our mistake. I think now the court they have some discretion to make.
So that is according to page 3 of the Daily Nation. Tafadhali fungua hapo na uweze kusoma ndio uweze kujua. Ghost of NHIF fraud return to haunt 104 billion health system. That story is on page 4. Tulikuwa tumeizungumzia. Judge extends order barring Alai from disputed Runda property. Hey, Robert Alai. Sometimes I just think this guy is a joke. Actually, all the time he's just a joke. Dark day for family as short mask vendor dies at the Kenyatta National Hospital. A story we also discussed earlier on. You can read that story on page 6. Yeah, Kim makes a passionate appeal to government and well-wishers to settle the 3.6 million hospital bill. And of course, the government has come out to say that they will pay for every single person who was hurt during the Maandamano. And specifically, they also mentioned that they will be paying the bill for Boniface Karaoke. May he rest in peace once again. DCI, we are pursuing those who orchestrated protest violence, and we have seen that 485 of them were arrested. Court orders Kanja, that is the IG, and Aming, that is the director of DCI, to produce the man abducted ahead of demos, that is Mr. Kiangui. We are praying and hoping that he shall be found safe and well. MPs slash fines and jail terms for cryptocurrency firms. The National Assembly Finance and National Planning Committee chairperson Kuria Kimani has said that they have slashed the fines and the jail terms for cryptocurrency firms. All right, so investors lobby house team to reduce 10 million fine in virtual asset service providers bill. Reduce 10 million fine. Yani fine ilikuanga 10 million. Patikana kwa cryptocurrency fraud.
Yeah.
Na jail term ilikuanga how long? Nakwambia tafuta pesa Patricia. Tafuta pesa.
Pesa muhimu.
Kupet and Nat trade barbs ahead of CBA negotiations. That story is on page 10. Border school unites communities in once volatile Lami Nyeusi zone. Yeah, straddling the border of Turkana and West Pokot counties, Sankak Primary School stands as a symbol of peace, unity and hope in the former bandit zone. Now, in the 2 months that it has been operational, the school has managed to bring together children from historically rival communities, and it's promising to rewrite the story of Lami Nyeusi, once a notorious battleground for bandits and highway robbers. You can read that story on page 10. So let's get into the traffic update, and then when we're done with that, Trisha tatuambia what is happening in the Star newspaper. Au sio? Haya, let's see what's happening on the roads of Nairobi.
Traffic.
So tuko hapa again looking at your road situation, telling you what is happening where you are. Landis Road, we say it is bumper to bumper right now, and we expect it to be bumper to bumper for the next, at the very least, 1 hour. So that means if you're heading into Muthurwa from any direction, apart from when you're coming from Haile Selassie, it's bumper to bumper right now. Speaking of Haile Selassie, also bumper to bumper as you're getting into the CBD. That one is looking very ugly for you right now. Another road that has got traffic is Uhuru Highway. That one, as you're approaching the CBD all the way from Nyayo, hapo kameshikana mbaya tena sana, probably stretching all the way into Bellevue as well. On the expressway, as you're exiting the Haile Selassie exit, bumper to bumper. As you're exiting also into not Uhuru but Wayaki Way, also bumper to bumper at this particular hour. Last but not least, Kenyatta Avenue as well. It's filled with traffic. I wonder why at this particular hour. Then of course Ngong Road pia kameshikana. Barabara kakona traffic leo, hamtaamini. Kama ulikuwa unatoka sehemu za huku ni wapi? Kama ulikuwa unatoka sehemu za Ngong Road, kama umetoka tuseme huku ni wapi? Kama umetoka basically tuseme tuko umetoka Ngong. Hapa mko na traffic mingi tena sana. Trish, tuambie what is happening there?
Well, I don't know whether you've touched about Nyayo Stadium. I'm seeing it's one of the areas we have traffic right now. Railway, pale railway.
Yes.
Here there is a lot of traffic by the ukitoka as you come all the way from is it Uhuru Highway?
Yes.
Yes. As you get into town through Haile Selassie, I hear there is a lot of traffic right now. A Globe roundabout as you get into town pia. Pale things are thick. Museum Hill interchange pia naona things are quite thick there. General Mathenge Drive kule Westlands pia. Someone is saying things are not quite okay. City Stadium, that is as you get to town, that is through Jogoo Road na pia ukitoka areas of industrial area. Yeah, I see things are not quite okay. By the way, ni time ya traffic. This is a time kuna a lot of traffic in most of the roads. Even in Mombasa, I'm seeing lights Kengeleni pia things are not quite good. Ni time ya traffic. Pale ferry, kivukio cha ferry, 4 ferries operating, things quite okay. But of course wakishatoka pale kuna a bit of traffic as you head into town.
All right. So if there's any incidences on the road that you think we should know, please let us know on our social media handles. Also on WhatsApp, you can just search Radio Generation. Utatupata pale.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
And we are back.
Yes.
What's happening on the Star newspaper?
The Star newspaper, biggest story, how youth power resets 2027 politics. Gen Zs have become a decisive force that everyone wants to woo. That is on page 4 and page 5. And I'm seeing a photo there of demonstrators that is along Kenyatta Avenue, Nairobi, wakati walikuwa wanapinga maswala ya Finance Bill 2024-2025. And also now we also were talking of the 2020, this year's maandamano sana it wasn't about the bill, yeah. Basically it was a remembrance, and of course the bill indirectly of course was also involved because it's a high cost of living, poor governance, so you can read that story on pages 4 and 5, and I'm looking at how Gen Zs have become a darling to every other leader, every other politician want to anataka ku please the Gen Zs, because I think they have realized now the power to decide 2027 elections mostly lies with the Gen Zs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's something that our leaders have realized, that this generation ni generation ambayo imeelewa, imeanza ku understand what has really been happening, and now they are afraid that this generation Z is going to make decisions that is going to affect a majority of our leaders, like we had said before we started the show.
I actually don't know what they're going to do come 2027. And that is, I'm talking about now the political elite. I really cannot wait to see the kinds of politics that we shall have come 2027. I'm predicting Some very youthful leaders are going to come out of the fray, and I'm talking about leaders that are unknown completely.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the Kasumwel or the Moraras of today. I'm talking about in your county, Patricia, in your ward, in your constituency. I am assuring you, you are going to see some very youthful individuals. And you know what? I'm actually rooting for them. Me, I'm saying let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance. Hopefully, they will live up to their reputation. Hopefully, they shall do what is right. Hopefully, we shall be able to say for the very first time that indeed, mtu akiingia bunge habadilikangi. Because unfortunately, majority of the times, watu wengi wenye tumepeleka bungeni, even brand new ones, hubadilika overnight. So I'm predicting that we're going to have a very huge shift in the kinds of individuals that we shall be seeing in the parliament after 2027. And not just parliament, I'm talking about MCAs as well. Hata governors. Mimi nakwambia kuna magovernors tutaona hapa tushangae. People who watu wamesoma, watatupatia manifesto za nguvu. Unajua manifesto zitapeana wapi? Hawa watu, they don't necessarily have to make rounds in the counties, but they're going to have some very interesting campaign tactics. For example, they're going to make good use of social media to articulate their voice. They're going to make good use of trending topics, of trends,
of hashtags,
of dance moves, of music.
Of music.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, those are the things that Kenyans are actually passionate about. And of course, they're going to tell us how we can uplift our businesses and how we can become better entrepreneurs and how we can even just create more opportunities for ourselves.
Let me tell you something. I'm one Kenyan. I'm one of the Kenyans ambao wako tired about these political elites. And that's why I was asking the other day here.
Yes.
Must we talk of these people who have always been there? Why is it that Kenyans, we do not want to try new people? Why is it that we do not want to try these people who are coming with good manifestos, people we know are of good character, like you've always been saying, people we know they can stand for something. You get?
Actually, one of the colleagues here alisema that exact thing. Choose a leader who stands for something.
You get?
So on top of character, alikuwa anasema character is just one of the things that you need to consider. But alikuwa anasema chagua mtu ako na msimamo. Na alichoose wakati tulikuwa tumesema tukiongea kulikuwa na computer aina ya Lenovo. Akasema chagua mtu mwenye akisema ni Lenovo, atachagua Lenovo na atafanya kazi na hiyo Lenovo. Si mtu mwenye anasema Lenovo leo lakini akishaingia bungeni anataka HP. So he said also choose someone who's got a stand.
Basically, me, I'm that one person who I do try other people. Why are we always stuck with these people and they are the same problems? Tumemchagua huyu, we are recycling these leaders. Once they get into power again, we start the issues of this is the same problem that we were experiencing in the previous government. So in the current government, they are the same problems that we are facing. So I think it is high time. Kenyans, why can't we try?
We can.
And why can't we try?
And we will.
Because that is why I think now there is a problem, and especially with the political elites, when wakisikia Gen Zs, I think there are some of them who are not sleeping. Akisikia tu jina Gen Z.
Mimi kwanza nikiona Gen Z kwa my constituency na mimi ni member of parliament ama mimi ni MCA, hata mimi ndakosa usingizi. Hata I'm sure there are some people walikuwa wameona Morara Kebaso hivi until that point whereby apparently he disappointed Kenyans. How he did it, Kenyans only know.
Well, I was coming to that disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Sorry for cutting you short.
That's okay.
I'm coming to that disappointment part of it. Looking at some of them, what we used to call him Kasumwel. Makoure. Yeah, he's just a good example of this Gen Z. Is somebody who stood by Gen Z na akasema kwamba sisi hatutambui kiongozi yoyote, sisi hatuna kiongozi, sisi nini. But then now he appeared to be the one in front. A few of them, kina Morara pia, they appeared like to be the ones in front in that Gen Z crowd. But then we saw, tunaona venye what has happened mpaka sasa. You know, that also makes me worried. Okay, Yeah, we say this way, like that's why we are talking of the stand issue.
Yes.
Yeah, like tumesema hivi, we kidogo umeitwa, unaongeleshwa, and then now you're like, oh yeah, let me think about my life peke yangu. Let me forget about my colleagues, let me forget about these other people ambao tumekuwa nao kwenye streets. Yeah.
What we saw with Kasmuel and Morara, to be honest, I feel like it is a very good example of how it is easy to corrupt. Yes, easy to just corrupt anyone. No one is incorruptible. Very few, by the way, would stand the test of receiving a call from State House. You remember Morara said that he once received a call from State House. Wewe nikuulize aje, tuseme wewe you are at the height of Gen Z protests, kila mtu anasema tu Patricia Wayua, Patricia kila mahali, and then upigiwe simu kutoka State House.
Yeah.
Na usikie my friend on the other side of that phone call. To be honest, wewe niambie utafanya nini Patricia? Na kwambie, listen Patricia, I've heard what you people are saying, so can we, let's see the way forward. Unataka kuniambia utaenda your State House? You have never been to State House. You have never shaken the hand of a president, maybe president wa university yenu. Na huyu ndio kiongozi baba wa taifa, amekuita ikulu muende na mdiscuss mambo serious. Unataka kuniambia utaenda? Na wewe unaenda pale na roho safi, unaenda kudiscuss issues
Yeah.
Ufike pale akwambie sasa wewe, and I'm not saying this is what happened I'm just saying ufike pale na uone jamaa amekuletea bag hivi, mfuko dollars zimestack hivi. Wewe ukae hivi ufikirie hata una shamba, ama kama uko na kashamba ni kadogo sana. Of course you remember your child needs school fees. You ukae hivi useme your mother is probably unwell, or your grandmother or an auntie or someone you love, they need medicine for the rest of their life. Maybe they have diabetes or they're battling cancer or something. Na hapo umepatiwa mfuko ama mifuko na unaambiwa take as much as you want. You give us a number. Patricia, hebu tell me what kind of temptation is that? Because I believe the only person who can say no to that is Jesus Christ, for us who believe in Christianity.
Even yourself you can't say no.
Yesu Kristo, mimi ngoja nimalize hii. Yesu Kristo peke yake ndiye anaweza sema get behind me you devil. Ni yeye ndiye alisema hivyo ama ni nani? Shetani alikuja akamwambia jirushe, malaika watakushika. Ambie hizi mawe zikue mkate. Sasa kama Yesu mwenyewe alikuanga tempted to that extent, shetani mwenyewe alimkuja mara ngapi? Mara 3. Ni Yesu peke yake anaweza kataa. Mimi ukikuja mara ya kwanza nitakataa. Mara ya pili perhaps nitakataa. Mara ya 3
sema hata mara ya kwanza. No, I know even the first trial ushaingia kwenye box. I know, yeah.
By the time we are getting to the second one, I might negotiate with you, nikwambie ongeza kidogo tuone kama. Anyway, I'm just saying that we got disappointed with some of these fellows. We thought they had a very bright future. We knew for a fact they were thinking about us, and we hoped that they would continue with that trend. But you see, at the end of the day, Patricia, hata utaketi chini upige hesabu zako uone, will I ever be the president of this country really? I just take this bag, nichukue nisichukue, Anyway.
So, well, I had to say, they okay, you've talked of being president.
Yes. Morara wanted to be the president of this country. Yeah.
So
he wanted to be the president.
Saizi ameacha.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. Sijuzi amesema he has quit politics. He has said now he can go to his favorite bar and enjoy his favorite drink. He has said he can walk into a supermarket without necessarily thinking about nothing or anything. Yeah. So it's safe to assume that he quit, unless towards 2027 aseme wase mumeniambia mumeniita na nimeitika.
Well, the bottom line, as the Gen Zs go to these streets, it's just a request that they get to understand these systems better. Yeah. As you go to the streets, as maybe you push, maybe you want to have some leaders representing the country, representing your ward, representing your counties. I think there's something that the Gen Zs also need to get and know. I mean, the history of Kenya kufikia hapa, it's not something that you will learn in a day. Some of these systems is not something that you're going to learn in just a day. Yeah. and in just getting to the streets, because of course some of them don't even understand why they are even in the streets by the they know it's a high cost of living, but they can't get the nitty-gritties. Why are we here? You get, well, they understand it's the taxes, but then there's something behind the taxes. There are policies. There are some people who need to participate in policies that will push for these taxes. There are some leaders. There's something that your leader also needs to do, and it's the same thing that if maybe you're elected in office, those are the same things that you are expected also to do. There are some other things that are behind the curtains that we do not know about. Kuna temptations like we are talking about.
Actually, I was speaking to, again, I like talking to political pundits, I like calling them. And one of these fellows told me that, imagine if one day you're met with two options, by the powers that be. Patricia, I asked you, you're very vocal. Kenyans are really listening to you. Kitisha maandamano leo hata saa hizi useme niaji, guys, can we meet in the CBD? They will be there in seconds. Nakanambia, imagine you wield such power where you can just influence the people. Nakanambia, you meet the powers that be and they give you two options. Number one, they give you a bag of money, or they offer you to disappear you. Which one would you take? And I said, it's such a bad place to be. Because yes, you want to be very patriotic, but again, you weigh what if, and it's very clear. We've seen this in movies where you're told, Patricia, funga mdomo, chukua hii bag iko na $10 million US, enda hata America huko, potea huko for 5 years.
Hakikisha visa yako itatoka haraka. We toka, we kijana mdogo sana.
Kijana mdogo, acha kuharibu maisha yako. Wachana sisi wazee tupambane na hii kitu. If Patricia, you were presented with those options, to be honest, yes, you love your country, but I believe there's someone else or something else that you love more. Your life, your children, your family. And if I were presented, and I hope I never find myself in that option, in that situation, where I am told to choose between patriotism and life.
Somebody just tells you, unajifanya unapenda nchi yako sana.
Umekuwa ukinichora huku.
Unapenda wa Kenya sana. Unapenda wa Kenya kushinda maisha yako.
Were you ready to die for Kenyans?
Then now you are just forced to make some decisions there.
So let's just pray that someone will have the spine one day to just, because I am sure people are met with those decisions and those kinds of options.
And that's why they compromise.
There are people we don't want to mention here, but you have seen them, and at one point they were for the people, then suddenly that person has just gone quiet and they are no longer in the limelight, and when you ask them what happened, they tell you, me learn and focus on other things.
Mbuvi, one day we shall get there. I do believe, because hii njia tunaenda, hii tunafuata, one day we will get there.
I am curious to know what other people would consider if offered such a choice.
Still combining that story with another story here about the opposition that is apparently walking on a political tightrope on who to unseat Ruto. This is what it says. Fresh details have emerged about high-stakes operations in opposition to identify a strong candidate capable of unseating President William Ruto in the 2027. A team of technocrats, legal minds and political strategists is quietly evaluating a possible flag bearers using a rigorous matrix that considers voter mobilization capacity, regional influence and national appeal.
You remember what happened in 2002 when Kenya overwhelmingly voted for former
the late Kibaki?
Yes. May he rest in peace. And the one thing that worked for everyone, because President Moi had chosen Uhuru Kenyatta to be the flag bearer of KANU at the time. And I remember the one thing that they decided, the opposition came together and they said, we are doing this because we want to ensure that Uhuru doesn't take and continue with the legacy of who? Of President Moi. I feel like come 2027, that is the only thing that might save the opposition. Now, if I were to advise, I'm going to advise Kalonzo Musyoka not to run for president. I'm going to ask Matiang'i not to run for president. And who else? And Martha Karua. And nani mwingine? I mean, kuna watu hapo prominent. Gachagua. Yes.
Matiang'i
not to run for president.
Why? Want to run for president.
Why? And I've chosen those names and I've left some other names outside. I would like this folks to unite their energy, their strength, their influence, whatever small influence is remaining, and front someone like. I am not saying that they necessarily front this particular individual. Someone like Maraga, someone like Okiya Omtata, and others that might come up at that particular time that Kenyans actually consider overwhelmingly. You understand? So that people, first of all, can see and feel and understand that this political elites have actually put their interests nyuma na wameka za Wakenya mbele. Because right now, we feel like Kalonzo is putting his interests first. That's a fact. He has tried to be president for the last couple of elections and he has unable to get to that point. But at one point, he was the vice president of this country. And people are going to judge him on that and ask him, while you were VP, ni nini ulifanya? And especially people from his backyard. Let's not forget that he also comes from somewhere. Sekuru na huko. Sindio?
It is a question that is usually asked, by the way.
Aya. Matiang'i alikuanga CS for Interior. And if we are being honest, there are some things about him that have been said that Kenyans, whether they are true or not, we have those questions. So I think Matiang'i at this point would say, you know what? Wacha niache fulani ashikilie hii kiti ama hii flag. Same na nani mwingine, Martha Karua amejaribu, tunamheshimu, she's an iron lady. Lakini Martha Karua, weka interest zako nyuma, uweke za Wakenya mbele. Then mufront mtu. Maybe kutakuwa na mwingine pia ametokezea wakati hatujui. Maraga has been tried and tested. In the position that he was given by Kenyans, he performed very well. Alipatiwa nafasi ya CJ Maraga. Ya Chief Justice rather. Alifanya kazi poa sana. Omtata has always been a darling of the people. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the spine to perform the music that is needed to be in that seat called the presidency. At least not the presidency, rather, to be in that seat called the presidential campaign. As a president, I am almost certain he would perform very well. But when it comes to campaign, he doesn't have what it takes to do a presidential campaign. Let me tell you, there's a difference between the dance and being the dancer. Yes, but you can have people help you dance. We can hold your hand, we can tell you step forward, nini tunaweza kuambiana chini kwa chini, unaweza kuwa na MC lakini wewe ndio una dance. Mimi naona mtu kama Omtata, yeye anaweza kuwa mtu wa kudirectua venye kudance. Then akishafika pale afanye kazi yake.
Afanye kazi. Okay, are you saying that now maybe whatever strategy that you're giving, it's maybe a strategy to trick Kenyans?
It's not a strategy.
No. I just get me. Okay. Get me what I want to say is that you get these people, like you fronted somebody else who has those do not have those madoadoa, like we are talking about, like awana hizo dents, sawa. So you get these people, but behind them, kuna hao ambao wamejaa nini? These the stains that you're talking about, right? We are talking this leadership, like somebody was given that opportunity, they did not perform to to the levels they were expected, or maybe they didn't do even nothing to their people, right? But then now they are the people fronting this one person, who maybe doesn't even have the idea of maybe running the government and so forth. So you can be sure that these are the people who will still be running
the government.
That government.
No.
And that's my take. Like
sure, I know. I get it. And me, I mean, I'm still insisting because if Kalonzo runs for presidency, we are going to have the same questions we had in 2022. We are still going to have the same questions we had in 2017, and those questions have never been answered. Patricia,
are the questions genuine?
They are very genuine. Yes. If we have Martha Karua run for president, The same thing we told her in 2022 and 2017 and 2013, we are still going to tell her in 2027.
Yeah.
Same for nani same for nani mwingine Gachagua. Kwanza Gachagua yake bado ni fresh in our minds. We haven't forgotten the things that he said during campaigns in 2022. You understand? And we still haven't forgotten what he did as the deputy president and the things he said as deputy president.
Yeah.
And right now, even the things he's saying, it's not like we are not seeing or we are not privy to. All right. So my idea would be kaini kando, chagueni mtu mmoja na mumsupport. Na mwambie wa Kenya ni aje sisi tumejitoa kwa sababu ya ABCD. Lakini huyu jamaa ndio tumeona anaweza.
Okay, let me ask you, who do you think is going to just front somebody, support somebody, and then they do not want to partake of the benefits of that person?
And that's why I'm
saying
that
is the reason why these people, they are going to front that person.
Yes.
Sindio, si
so you're saying after now this person gets the seat, sasa Kalonzo atakuja mwambie ni aje?
Si ati atakuja mwambie before watu waende. We have had the former deputy president talking of the agreement, the MOU they had.
The company.
Yes, the company, the shares. This is how we are going to share profits.
Right.
Once ukiingia kule, wewe nipatie sijui nafasi ngapi kule kwa nipatie hii ministry, nipatie hii ministry. You
make
take
me
this,
the prime CS.
You take this, you take this.
Right.
That is the sad truth about our country.
Right.
All these people, they will front somebody, yes? They are behind that person. Now, nilileta hii na mimi nataka hii. And actually before they support you, that is something you people sit down. And if you're not going to follow them the MOU,
yes,
most definitely, even when you get to power, you are sent to that power, that position.
Yes,
your leadership will be full of chaos. They are not going to give you peace
I'm
to
sure
work for the Kenyans.
I'm sure you've heard of this statement that goes like this: politics is a dirty game. I'm not condoning the dirt, but that's the nature. Ukienda kupigana na nguruwe, be ready to fight in the mud. Ukienda kucheza na ndovu, kuwa ready kufanya nini? Kujichafua kwa huo mchanga wa ndovu pia. At the end of the day, we need credible leadership. Yes? And yes, we know everyone wants a stake. We know everyone wants a share of this so-called national cake.
Yeah.
Yes, we know. Hata mimi leo nikienda kusupport Okiya Omtata, rest assured Patricia, nitaambia Okiya ukipata hii kitu, juu mimi sitakuwa nazunguka huko Nairobi nikipiga kelele bure. Sitapiga kelele bure. Ni hii kitu ukipata, mimi nataka kujua nitasaidika kivipi. You see? And that is just the price. However, you're not going there, and we need to sign an MOU of kind with these people that come and support these people. And this MOU is not the kind of MOU we saw with the other leaders in the past, because those leaders were very, very greedy. They take the national cake for themselves.
Yeah.
Sisi wengine tunabaki na njaa. If it is Okiya Omtata, for example, who will who will run on behalf of all these guys, atuambie in advance, nikiingia pale kwa hiki kiti, Kalonzo juu ameni support anapata ABCD, na ikuwe very clear. Okay?
Yeah.
Na tuone nani ule mwingine Maraga atapata kitu fulani, nani anaitwa nani Martha Karua atapata kitu fulani, because at the end of the day he needs support. And if he doesn't get that support, two things will happen. They will play dirty against him, and he will be very dirtified, and he will be unable to come out of the other side clean.
That's what I was saying.
Una get? You'd rather have a lion on your side as opposed to 1,000 pigs. Because with a lion can scare 1,000 pigs, but a lion can never be scared by 1,000 pigs. So akina Kalonzo ndio lions na mafisi na hizo zingine nini mataiga. Tembea na hizo mataiga as opposed unatembea na nguruwe 100. Hizo nguruwe zitakusaidia, my friend. That is why I'm telling you, politics is a game of strategy. Yes, me I'm not an expert, but at least niko na akili kidogo. If today I was to be running for president, nitatafuta watu wa nguvu bana wani support.
Yeah.
We're coming to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
We're going to be getting into the news courtesy of Winnie Maganga. We just want to say that we were to have a guest this particular morning. It was Geoffrey Mosia, the CE, the county executive in charge of environment.
Actually,
he was at, yes.
He's supposed to be getting in by 8.
Yes. So we are hoping that he's in studio. So by the time we're done with the news, aingie. Tuko na maswali mengi sana. And I'm sure yeye si mtu wa kugopa maswali.
Yeah, already people are sending questions. Ask him about this and this.
Yes.
Ask him about this and this.
Yeah.
So we are hoping that he's gonna give especially Nairobians
So if you have
answers
questions,
they need. Yeah.
If you have questions, our Twitter handle is Radio Gen KE, or that's our X handle. And on WhatsApp, we are at Radio Generation.
Yeah.
That is the group that you need to be in right now to get all the updates. And of course, for your interaction, we shall be definitely giving you that opportunity to interact with our guest in studio. Otherwise, don't go too far. We shall be right back. Oh yes, nimesahau kuwapatia WhatsApp number ingine yetu Hiyo WhatsApp number ndio hii 0116928683. Yeah, that is 0116928683. You can also WhatsApp us there direct. We shall be getting those updates as we go on. So we'll be right back. Also, if you have got any other burning question or burning issue you think that we should know about, like traffic, also that is the place you can reach us. So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
It's 8 o'clock.
The sound is fine, pump it up, turn it high, all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. At least 485 individuals have been arrested in connection with the June 25th protest across the country, according to DCI boss Mohamed Amin. Speaking during a press briefing at the DCI headquarters in Nairobi on Monday, Amin said further investigations reveal a deliberate and a well-funded attempt to incite chaos, civil unrest, and spread anarchy under the guise of public protest. He says the suspects will be charged with rape, terrorism, arson, and destruction of state infrastructure. Amin has warned that the National Police Service will not remain silent when national security is threatened.
As of today, 485 individuals have been arrested in connection to what happened on June 25th. Of these, 448 have already been charged in court, and 37 remain under active investigation, some pending further custodial hearings. The charges range from murder, terrorism, rape, gang rape, arson, obstruction of police officers while on duty, breaking and stealing, robbery and as well robberies with violence, stealing from locked motor vehicles, incitement to violence, handling stolen goods, malicious damage to property.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has called out on leaders and politicians celebrating destruction and mayhem witnessed in the country last Wednesday. He highlighted massive losses and assault meted on innocent Kenyans. Kindiki said many people incurred losses and others were sexually assaulted when goons attacked them. The DP stated he was shocked to see some politicians celebrating what he described as destruction, rape and lawlessness seen on Wednesday.
But we cannot step back and leave this country to anarchists and those people who don't believe in the peaceful resolution of national problems. Kwa hivyo hata nchi zingine ambao wanatuhubiria hapa kwao ni wakali sana. Ikifika mambo ya usalama wa taifa, hakuna mjadala. Wanasema sawa, muko na uhuru wa kujieleza, lakini lazima muwe na amani.
Several people linked to the violent protest in Kikuyu, Kiambu County on June 25th have been arraigned and are facing serious criminal charges. This as the government intensifies efforts to hold those involved accountable. The suspects appeared before the Kiambu Law Court on Monday. Detectives from Kikuyu Sub-County told the court they are under investigation for arson, robbery with violence, shop breaking and theft. The DCI added that it remains steadfast in its commitment to confronting criminal activities and ensuring those responsible face the full force of the law. The Kenya Revenue Authority has extended the deadline for filing annual tax returns by 24 hours, giving taxpayers until midnight on July 1st, 2025 to meet their legal obligation. KRA announced the extension in a post on social media. The tax return deadline had initially been set for yesterday. To accommodate the expected rush of last-minute filers, the authority also announced extended working hours at its offices on Monday. The Tundu North Member of Parliament Njoroge Kururia has sparked controversy after calling for the closure of public primary and secondary schools with critical lost student enrollment in the constituency. Speaking during a bursary issuance held at Kamangi village, the MP highlighted the inefficiencies of operating schools with minimal student population. He urged stakeholders to support the consolidation of institutions as a way to maximize resources.
Fika 100 kwa sababu serikali inatumanga pesa inaitwa capitation na inatumanga hiyo pesa kulingana na wingi wa wanafunzi. Mkiwa na wanafunzi wachache, pesa kidogo ndio inakuja kwa shule. Basari kidogo ndio inakuja kwa shule. Ile kitu mzuri ni kufanya kama St. Joseph the Worker. Iko na wanafunzi karibu 1000. Kwa hivyo tuseme wale wako na wanafunzi wachache kama Mukurwe, kama Mukoyoini, kama Metero, kama Mbeshi, washikanishe hizo shule ndio tukue na shule moja mzuri ambayo itatumiwa pesa.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed, we are back and we are live, we are direct. This is Radio Generation 88.8 in Nairobi. rgk.co.ke is where you undoubtedly find us regardless of where you are in Kenya and in the world. The time right now is 6 minutes past 8 o'clock and we are getting into our first conversation for the day. Geoffrey alikuwa amepotea kidogo, that is Geoffrey Mosiria, the Chief Officer Environment, Nairobi City County. Yeye ndiye waziri wa mazingira hapa Nairobi. Alikuwa amepotea kidogo lakini eventually ametupata. Like we like saying, hapa conversations we shall never shy away from them, and we need to have these honest conversations because at the end of the day we believe that they will help the country move forward. One of the things that we're going to be asking Mheshimiwa Geoffrey today is about restoring sanity in Nairobi. We have seen him, going around the county trying to perform his duties. So we are definitely going to get into that conversation and understand what informs some of the decisions that he does, or some of the decisions that he makes in regards to just making sure that Nairobi County is clean, it is safe for you to do business in, and so on and so forth. But also we shall not shy away from asking why he keeps on clashing with Nairobians on several issues. Tumemwona akienda kwa makanisa kuambia wanyamazishe muziki wao wa what is it called, praise and worship kwa inaitwa nini?
Yeah, praise and worship.
Kwa Kiswahili praise and worship. I'm trying to be a Coastarian.
Of course the nyimbo za ibada.
Okay.
Za kuabudu, nyimbo za ibada, and of course we have also seen him by the way in the clubs.
Oh yes, trying to kunyamazisha watu huko kwa clubs, especially the ones around residential areas.
Yes.
So I mean, I'd like to understand if I wanted to open a club somewhere in Nairobi, how will I know that? Because unajua mimi nikipatiwa license, ni gava tu ya Nairobi natupatia licenses. I end up opening Then kidogo one night I just see Geoffrey there coming to switch off my music.
Well, I think kuna sheria ambazo zina they are governing when you want to put up maybe a bar.
Yes.
Kuna some areas kuna some distances you're supposed to keep maybe out of residential places,
Right.
out of schools, you know. So I think he's better placed to tell us more about such things, because I know taka kuingia katika biashara.
Lazima nijue. And like over the weekend, I think it was over the weekend, I saw him somewhere disrupting some individuals who are having a good time. We shall want to understand how exactly he knew where they were and what they were doing. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, it is now 8 minutes past 8 o'clock, and in studio we do have Geoffrey Musiria. He is the Chief Officer Environment in Nairobi County. A very good morning to you, Geoffrey. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good.
Yep.
Yes.
You're well this morning?
Yeah,
Pole umepotea. We are a brand new station, so kidogo once in a while utapoteanga too as you find your way to our place. But we are glad that you could make time out of your schedule to just be here with us and have this conversation. So first things first, you have been now in office for what, two years? 2.5?
2 years.
Yeah. How is it so far?
It's good. There's a lot of work to be done in the city. And we have the capacity and the capability to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a difficult job? Because everyone is clamoring for these positions. Mtu anataka kuwa waziri kwa kila county bana. Nasikianga huko kuna a lot of luxuries, but in terms of challenges, have you experienced any? Everything's just smooth sailing?
You know, Nairobi has its unique challenges. Nairobi cannot be compared with other counties.
True.
Its population during the day is almost 7 million. At night is around 5 million. And all these people require services in Nairobi.
Right.
Before I came to environment, I used to work in health, where we managed to make sure that our hospitals, which had no ICUs, had no NICU, they had no medicine, they had no equipments, that's tools for work for doctors, nurses, and clinical officers.
Right.
Made sure that we did the first ICU at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital, the first neonatal intensive care unit at Mbagathi Hospital, state-of-art newborn unit at Mbagathi Hospital.
Right.
First, another second NICU now at Mama Lucy Piku at Mama Lucy, the first standalone eye hospital at Mama Lucy Annex. We installed the first CT scan at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital, because people used to get accidents. You refer a patient to Kenyatta for a CT scan, along the way they die, life that could have been saved. And there's a lot we did. We made sure there's medicine in all our 124 health facilities.
This is during your tenure as you know, the person in charge of health in Nairobi,
as the chief officer in charge of health. Katibu mkuu wa afya gatuzi la Nairobi. So later on, I also made sure I did impromptu visits at night to make sure those doctors and nurses who are sleeping while patients are not being served, action is taken against them, because their work is to serve patients. You find that those who get to work, they want to sleep because they are tired. They leave patient unattended. Some patient could lose their life just waiting to be seen.
Right.
Because the doctor who should be seeing them is sleeping. And also sometimes during the day could walk in unexpected to see are there doctors, nurses, and all the people who are supposed to be on duty, are they there? I also did a facility inspection, health facilities inspection. Right. Because we had facilities which procure even abortions, and young ladies and young mothers used to lose their lives. There are others which didn't have even the capacity to handle. You know, someone just opens a kiosk. He was a casual, maybe in an accident, an emergency. Right. Now he believes that once he has worked there for 2-3 years, he has the experience of being a doctor. So there's a lot we handled in health, and that's when His Excellency realized that he needed that energy in the environment department, because now health was working. Right. Yeah. And that's how I found myself in this department. Right. My background is not environment. My undergraduate from the University of Nairobi was BCom, Bachelor of Commerce. Master, I did business administration. Right. and I'm currently a PhD student at the
really?
same university.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So environment is huge. There is issues of air pollution, noise pollution, management of solid waste generated from our houses, the parks and the open spaces. That's my work to make sure that we green Nairobi by planting trees, and it's a lot. It's a lot that needs to be done, which requires someone to work beyond even your working hours, because the city has been polluted.
I like how you've elaborated your your achievements in the health sector. Maybe can you just give us a brief of also what has been able to be done in the environment one since you came in?
Yes, when I came to the environment departments, people in Nairobi were not sleeping. There was a lot of noise pollution from bars and restaurants, houses of worship, that's the church, mosque, and I started dealing with bars, because in Kilimani alone, people are not sleeping. There was a lot of noise. You know, someone is licensed to operate a bar and restaurant, and you know, a bar and restaurant should not be making noise. A bar and restaurant is just to sell for you food as you take your beer, waiting to maybe have your small meeting, and it's supposed to open from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. But now, someone opens a bar. When he realizes his friends are demanding for music, now they install amplified music.
Right.
They start operating illegally. 24 hours. During the day, it's a bar. At night is a nightclub. In areas that are not designated, you find your bar and the house of your neighbor, it's just like 10 meters, or it's just the wall separating the two. Those people who are your neighbors are not able to sleep. There's a lot of vibrations in their house, a lot of sound. The children cannot sleep and go the following day to work. The sick people in the house are suffering. And you find this one individual who has employed, yes, maybe 10, 20 people, is disturbing almost 1,000 residents of this city. That's impunity. You go to Mirema Drive, it's still happening. Some of those people are playing hide and seek. You arrest them, take them to court, they have cash bill. They will pay, and that's money they'll make just in one night.
Okay.
So they don't care even if they are arrested, because they are able to take to find their way through the court because they have money. So what I said, I will arrest you today, tomorrow, and until you comply. You soundproof. If you have to play that loud music, because
soundproof.
You know, some of these people are playing with impunity. It's a lot of impunity. They believe that they are above the law because they have money. They have their networks. But me, as a man who believes in the rule of law, I said I have to do the right thing.
Is it possible that maybe perhaps I built my club here, and it has been here maybe even since 1990, and this place was a wilderness, then suddenly now people have started building estates around my club. So why should I adapt? Why not? Because when I was given the license, nilijenga hii club na mlikuwa mnajua ni club. Ukijenga nyumba yako hapa kando ya club yangu, you knew it was a
in
club.
a residential area, we don't license clubs.
Okay.
Anyway, in residential, most of these people, they'll always, and it happened even before we came into office, they went and bribed their way to have their land changed from residential to commercial.
Okay.
So they are operating there illegally.
Okay.
And you see, it was licensed as a bar and restaurant, not as a nightclub. Bars and restaurants can be licensed.
Okay.
Because that's where people go to their neighborhood to just have 1, 2, 3 bottles as they eat their meal to go and sleep.
Okay.
If they want to continue their music and enjoyment at night, they can always go to CBD areas designated for nightclubs.
Okay.
But now they have decided to operate with impunity. disturbing their neighbors, and with a lot of blackmail that they have employed people. You cannot claim to have employed people when your neighbors are suffering. Even if they found you there, you don't have a right to disturb them. You must follow the law.
That's a catch-22.
It's very clear followed, and it's very clear, and no one is above the law.
You have been,
and there's not only the clubs, also the houses of worship,
churches and
churches. You find someone in an estate, especially in areas like Wangware, Pipeline, Kasarani, where your neighbors have young children, they need to sleep, they need to wake up and go to church. You have decided to play kesha. You have keshas Monday to Sunday with amplified music, disturbing them. They are not able to sleep. All they are hearing is a lot of noise. Because you cannot say this is a holy noise which is becoming a public nuisance. Even if you go and read Matthew chapter 6 verse 6 ukiendelea, it clearly says when you want to pray, go lock yourself in a room. So let them go lock themselves in the church, play in silence. So don't just make a lot of noise to attract attention, because with most of these churches they were trying to attract members to increase their capacity to grow their church. And some believes when they see Pastor Ngang has a big church in CBD, they say Pastor Ngang also started with the Mabati church in some estates where they don't know how he grew himself, so they want to become Pastor Nganga. But when Pastor Nganga started, maybe, or any other pastor, he started in a way that he never disturbed their neighbors. So they believe that they also want to become like Pastor Ngang or Ezekiel or Awor. But you know, for you to become such a person who is blessed and God has opened their way, you must also respect your neighbors, not to disturb them,
and follow the law.
I think most of the time people have accused you of using excessive force, and especially the hawkers and so forth. So maybe what do you have to say about that?
I've never used any excessive force. Talking to someone and trying to advise him, is that using excessive force?
Not necessarily you, but the county askaris.
You see, we have embraced a different approach, because my work is not actually to deal with the hawkers. We have a department of markets which has allocated them backlands. My work is to make sure that the beauty of the city is maintained. If these hawkers interfere with the beauty, the walkways, they dump their garbage there, then I come in and tell them you must go back to the backland, because if this city is seen to be dirty, the person to be asked is me. And I have to make sure the city is clean, its beauty is maintained, and that's why we work closely with the Department of Planning. We remove those signages that were blocking the walkways, making the city look like a slum. And also we remove those structures which had been put along the walkways. People were cooking even motura. Unapika motura town bana. Miguu ya kuku narusha mifupa ya miguu hapo chini, vichwa za kuku. Somewhere even.
Geoffrey, allow me to ask you this question. Have you never had mutura in your life?
I had it the last in Githurai. 45. Hiyo mutura nilikula, nilireact skin yangu. Nilikuwa naipenda manzi, hiyo harufu ina snap.
But just growing up, ulikula mutura?
Nilikula.
Ulikuwa unakula mutura wapi?
Nilikula last Githurai. Githurai ndio nilikula na ilikuwa ya mwisho.
How long ago?
That's like 10 years ago. Because wakati nilikula, nilikuwa nakula hiyo base mutura. Wakati ilifika siku nyingine nikakula nikareact. Kumbe ilikuwa ni nyama mbaya.
From the same vendor
that you are used to. Then kitu ya kwanza ikaniharibikia skin. Nikaenda nikatibiwa. Ya pili sasa ilinifanya niendeshe. Nilispin mzee, maji karibu niende. Then
ulipoteza kilo.
Hii kitu si mzuri. Nikaachana nayo. So hata juzi nikitembea, mkiangalia in my TikTok, nilipatana na mtu ameweka motura. Anatengeneza kwanza, amejificha. Mahali anatengenezea amejificha
kwa buckets.
Ukiangalia ndio hii. This is the
video. I saw this video.
Yeah.
Where is this location? Where is this?
Hapa ni pale Gikomba hapo Karioko.
Sasa kuna a lot of Kenyans who would argue that is the beauty of these street foods. The beauty of mutura ni ukikula pale ikiwa chafu na
na mainzi ziko hapo, usipoona inzi, usipoona mtamu yake.
Yes. So a lot of Kenyans were like,
let tell you, most Kenyans wanasema na ndio maana ina slap, lakini kuna wengine wanasema mimi nilikula kupanda gari ilibidi nishukie njiani kwanza nifanye mambo kwa sababu tumbo ilianza kulia immediately. So not only that, hata hapa town ukiangalia kuna hoteli niliingia, they are selling food, nikaona takataka imemwagwa nje, nikiuliza ni ya nani, watu wanamuogopa sababu yeye ndiye ana supply samosa zote tao, yeye ndiye ana supply hizo kangumu zote town, all those hizo makebabs. So kufika pale wase wananipointia wanamuogopa, wanapoint kwa mbali hivi. Akasema hebu nifike nijione. The moment alifungua mlango, jamaa alikuwa amesweat, ana sweat akipika hapo ndani. Alafu hapo ndani ni kuchafu, mafuta ni ile ya kurecycle. Unaweza imagine nini, mafuta unapigia mandazi alafu una recycle tena unarudia. Sasa ndani imejaa uchafu, takataka yote mpaka mende ziko hapo. Kuguza gunia hivi panya zilitoka mbio.
Okay.
Then from there kuangalia zenyewe ni chafu, mahali penyewe ni pachafu. Na huyo ndiye anapika sababu hapo cheap, hoteli zote za 1000 nunua kwake.
He is a chief supplier.
Yeah. Na again hata si huyo, kuna kwingine niliona, tulienda tukasikia harufu. Unajua hiyo ni ya pollution na harufu mbaya.
Yes.
Tukiuliza tukaelekezwa kuingia ndani, tulipata ni matumbo imeoza, na ndio wanasema hii ni ile ya kupika mutura. So what we eat in our city, sometimes be careful. People are consuming poison. That's why today every person is suffering from H. pylori. They have constipation issues. People have acidity because of what we are consuming each and every day. You know, the food you consume in your stomach is it could be medicinal to you or poison to you. So what most of us are consuming
is poison.
Okay. Yeah. I tend to believe there are some other departments that you should be working on, like the case of the hotel, dirty inside. Well, I know maybe there's a limit to where you can reach as there's an officer of environment.
Yeah, but we have a public health aspect, also an environmental aspect.
Yes. I want to maybe you can tell Kenyans what plans are there or what policies you've put in place to ensure that these departments are working well, because I think you will do your part, but there's somebody else who has not done their part, and also the Department of Urban Planning, because of the issues of flooding and so forth. Maybe what policies are there to ensure that you work together?
You see, every department has its own policies. For environment, we have those guiding us. Like the one for Solid Waste Management Act of 2015, which guides us on how you manage your solid waste. You see, like 10 meters radius is your responsibility to clean. Even that drainage next to your house is you to clean it and make sure that there's it's clear for when it rains, water can flow. There's no floods. But now the people of Nairobi, they believe that everything is done by the government. That's why even when we installed dustbins, they came to CBD, they destroyed them, they said it's our tax. But now, do you go to your house, destroy your TV and say it's my money, it's my salary. You go and burn your house and say it's my money, it's my money, it's my house, it's my mortgage. You don't do that. You have to protect what is yours. So even that drainage, you have to protect it. Some people, they want to build a big house, even if they live near the river, they just want to build even to the riparian land. And this is historical. It's not something that started yesterday. And it's something that needs to be fixed now. And you know, when you're doing the right thing, many people will hate you. Sometimes I go to my way. If I see something is wrong, it doesn't mean it has to be in my department. I have to sort it out, because we work in the same county government. Tomorrow I may be posted in that department, and I saw that mess happening and I never sorted it out. But I'm moving around because most of my work is on the ground, and I know I document my work not for PR but for educating people creating awareness. Some are saying that Musili is a content creator. Why can they also call the president is a content creator because he goes live when addressing the nation and launching projects? Why can they call the governors, the MPs, the MCAs content creators because they also post their projects and their achievements? And also post enforcement action should be recorded because someone like hawkers, you know, they create chaos, they attract attention. Then when you get all of them, you just take a video where they are very chaotic, where they are trying to show that they're being mishandled. Then online will burst that this person is mishandling and harassing the hawkers. Mine, when I start, it shows how I started. I go there, I introduce myself, I request the person, the hawker there, namwambia ma'am, kwa heshima na kuomba kwa heshima uondoke uende mahali ambao mmetengewa, because you can't have 2-3 hawkers like the ones who are making a lot of noise, shouting at me, harassing me for being humble and being a government employee who has respect for the hawkers. They want to take advantage of that. I'm not that person who goes with askaris and say beba hii mwaga chini, piga wao, rusha kwa gari. I'm not that person. I'm that person who go there with a lot of respect because some of them are older, like my mother. Some of them are could be my sisters, my brothers. I handle them with a lot of dignity, with a lot of respect. But those mamas, at their age, they hire kids to come and use to sell products in CBD. You know, where they are seated, if there was a stampede, we lose our life there. Someone will just die. If people start running in town, there's maybe an attack somewhere or a gunshot. See, they'll step on the kid and kill that kid. We'll lose that mama.
I mean, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and it's a good thing. And personally, where I sit, I am seeing the sense in what you're saying. However, like in the video that we saw of those ladies in the streets, I think they were close to archives or something. They, when you ask them kwa hiyo heshima umesema, they were very hostile towards you. You know, and I don't think it was specifically hostile towards Geoffrey Mosiria. It was just hostility towards the government of Nairobi.
It's not about that. That's survival tactic. In Nairobi, if you want to survive, you must behave like a madman or a mad woman. In Nairobi, if you want to survive, you must create chaos, sell fear, so that people don't touch you. That's how they survive.
You don't think
so?
It's not about Nairobi are angry at Nairobi?
It's not about government. It's about creating chaos to survive, to continue selling there while blocking the people, while other hawkers are at the back lane. And these other hawkers will say, why are they special hawkers? But they have mastered the art of selling fear to the employees and using the card of poverty, trying to justify that poverty is a card, is just an express permission for you to break the law. Let's not use poverty to seek sympathy. Everyone is poor, even you are poor. Even me, I'm a poor person because I haven't achieved what I want to achieve in life. But that does not mean that I go out there, I use that poverty card, break the law, then you start saying, yes, I'm a poor man.
Why do you think they do not want to sell at the backyard?
You see, they want to be away from other hawkers, to avoid competition with others, and to sell fast and go back home. But again, while doing that, they're breaking the law. They're obstructing the movement of the pedestrians. And he was even wondering, why should an honorable member go to his wall, try to incite hawkers that they are poor, they should be allowed to do business by breaking the law. And this is someone who is a lawmaker who sits in parliament where they say we need order in the city. Then how do you, the same leader who should be calling for order in the city, call for disorder so that there's a lot of confusion to advance your political agenda? Because this city, everyone want order, everyone want to move freely. You know, you can't walk to River Road because the hawkers are all over now. After that incitement, they're all over. They even they have moved even to Uhuru Park, outside Uhuru Park. They are there selling githeri and other food and other food substances. Occupying on both sides of the road. So is that the city we want? Go to Kisumu. Let's use Kisumu. Kisumu, you can find a hawker along the walkway. They are never there.
But the population in Kisumu is
It's
different
not
from
about population.
in Nairobi.
It's not about population. It's about law enforcement.
Okay.
The law is being followed there.
Okay.
There is no one who is negotiating the law breakers. Here they want us to negotiate with people.
So
in the name of saying that this is a poor person, do you allow a poor person to go and kill a rich man, take his money, and we start sympathizing that this poor man had to kill you and take away your money because he's poor? He also want to live like you.
So where exactly, Geoffrey, should hawkers be? Because the whole idea of hawking is working with my wares and selling them. So if I'm selling these papers or I don't know, the phone, I work with it.
No, it's not about working with it. We have designated them to sit at the back lanes.
Okay.
We have designated back lanes for hawkers. Where they go, they put their products and sell.
Can you give us an example of maybe one or two walkways where they should go there?
If you go in CBD, there's so many back lanes. Go to Mfangano lane, back lane, go to Ngenda lane. There are so many back lanes. I can't mention them all by name, but they are designated for hawkers, but they don't want to be there. They just want to come at the frontage. Because you are selling shoes, they bring the same product and block customers from accessing your shop. They are using your advertisement to sell the same products. They don't pay rent. They don't pay a business permit. They pay nothing to the government apart from the product they pay. They pay the tax indirectly, but they buy their product at a very cheap cost. Since they don't incur the costs, the other costs, so they don't put that cost in their products. So if it's a cape of 500, they buy 500. You know the shop will sell it at 1,000.
Yeah.
With them, they are selling it at 500. If they bought it at 400, they're selling at 500. They only put up a markup profit of 100 shillings, and now the customers will not go to the shop. Why should I go to the shop and the same product is being sold outside at 100 bob?
Okay.
So with that, these other shop owners are not selling their products. They are suffering. They pay rents. Some have lost their jobs.
Okay.
And now there's an influx in number of hawkers. They even want to come to Nairobi and hawk because they believe Nairobi they can be allowed to break the law and operate as if there's no law governing the county government. So the time has reached where we have to say enough is enough. Let's do the right thing. Let the hawkers go to the estates and wait for customers there, because they can always come and buy from Kawangware, from Dandora, from Gikomba, from Pipeline,
Toy Market.
We have markets like Kanguno Market. These hawkers can go there because the market is empty. They don't want to sell from the markets. They just want to bring chaos in CBD. We have a Malindi market here in Dagoretti. It's empty. Why can they go there? They can always sell their products from the markets. In fact,
there's this issue.
Is only that His Excellency has a heart of helping the hawkers operate at the back lanes because he's a leader. But if it were a way of sorting the city, then let all the hawkers go back to the markets. We have streets free from hawkers, so that there's free flow of people.
Geoffrey, there's this issue of parking. I don't know if it falls under your docket, but
it's under mobility. But I can always respond if it's something you want to know.
There's this issue of parking, boys. I come, I park my vehicle in the CBD after I have really struggled to get that parking. I park, but when I come back after I've already paid the county government, napata jamaa ananiambia ni muone za macho amekuwa akichunga gari yangu.
Those are criminals. So are they part of security of the county government?
No, they
give them. The problem is the people. The people are the one who are encouraging them. Why do you have to give someone money? That's a thief.
Because how secure, how secure is my car? Because we have seen so many times, like umeacha gari yako.
These are thieves who come and steal your vehicle so that they sell fear in you. You pay them to continue operating. It's a cartel of thieves. That's why I'm chasing away street families. These street families is part of this cartel. They're the ones they used to steal from your car. Then now they instill fear in you. Once we get rid of all the street families, because most of these kids, they have homes. When they come to Nairobi, it's like they go through a certain training where they all, if you come to Nairobi, you run away from school, your parents want you to go to school, but you don't want to read. some did a mistake at home, back at home and ran away. Maybe alipasua TV akapasua simu ya mamake ama ya babake. Juni mkali akatoroka kuja Nairobi. They're all in the streets. Once they get there, the language is my father died, and my mom, I'm an orphan. When you hear the word orphan, you sympathize with them. And the money you give them, they will not buy food. They will go and buy jet fuel, which they sniff, inaitwa msi. Or
actual jet fuel.
Yeah.
Not petrol.
Kuna access ya fuel lakini wao ya petroli, wao kuna access ya mafuta ya ndege. Umeona petroli
inanunuliwa wapi
Nairobi?
Nairobi?
A cartel which is operating that business. And I've engaged in Nakada. We want to get rid of this cartel because once they don't get this jet fuel and another drug, now they will be sober. They will feel cold in the street, they'll go run back home. But with this jet fuel, once they have consumed, they become drunk. They sleep like a baby. Even if you wake them up, they'll never wake up.
They become a zombie.
They become a zombie, and some walk with a lot of mucus running from their nose. Because now when you behave like a zombie, you see someone walking like you
don't have control of yourself.
Yeah, and they are carrying some sacks. You think the inside is bottles and other things, but they are transporting drugs.
Okay.
They are the people who are used by drug peddlers to transport drug and other illegal substances within CBD. So when you see these people, you know nobody will bother to touch them.
Of course.
They know what they are carrying is recyclable. Wanajifanya anaingia kwa dustbin, anachukua bottle anaeka, akiendelea bebeba,
kumbe ni drugs,
hizi cocaine, hizi heroin, hizi mafuta ya ndege, changa. Unajua changa ni CBD.
You've actually ati changa iko wapi?
CBD.
Hii CBD moja tu.
Enda huko River Road, huko Ngenda Lane, huko chini, huko hizo machumu. Unapata mtu nikiwete ati yako hapo chini, ameweka kakikombe ka kuombelea na amejisurround na magunia na mauchafu. Ndani hizo magunia ni pombe anauza miadarati.
So you want to tell me that in the CBD, sometimes what we see as, you know, hawkers or street families are actually businessmen
in business.
Have you ever arrested one mkawapeleka kotini?
You see, the work of arresting those people, those criminals, is police work. The best I could do is to just get them and hand over to the police. Now the rest of the work to process them to court is the police, because that's a criminal case. You see?
Okay.
They are the same people who come and see the manuals. When you go in town, watu wamevunjika miguu town, na hiyo manual ilichukuliwa na uchokora. Kuna mmoja tulishika juzi, na washikanga naeka kwenye mtandao, so that their families can trace them. This person, the mother, texted us. He disappeared 20 years ago. They knew he was dead until they saw a video on my wall. There are so many kids have posted on my social media. Their parents have shown up. You know what happens? Parents know that their kids are dead, but in real sense their kids are alive
in Nairobi
and other cities where they live as street families, but they are in business. You know, they make money. Most of these street families make a lot of money in the streets.
The families they come from, are they well-off families, or they are also equally struggling?
You see, if your parents can afford to take you to school, then it means they are able to take care of you. But these kids, they don't want to go to school. Like there's one from Roysambu sub-county, who just literally ran away. The mom has taken the kid to almost 5 rehabilitation centers. The kid does not want to change. The kid was crying that he want to live in the street. Because in the street, he gets free money. He gets free... Once he gets free money, he buy jet fuel, he buy kuber, he buy banki, and other drugs which they consume in those streets. So sometimes it's not my work to just deal with these issues, but because I see there's a gap, because the person responsible, because we have a Department of Social Work not only in the county but in the national government. They have a budget that is enough even to go and build a structure which is well secured like a prison, where these kids will be taken and be trained. This manual work, artisan and plumbing, etc.
Okay.
So that they can be productive once they leave that place. But now, and those who are young can continue with studies inside that rehabilitation center without running. And if that happens, kids will never run away from their homes.
Okay.
Because they will fear once you go there and you'll be taken. And that structure can be built maybe in Otistan, far away from Nairobi.
Okay.
Where even if they try to run,
hawatafika
they'll
Nairobi.
never get back to Nairobi.
Well, that's
You want
fair
to banish
enough.
them. Yeah.
That's
It's not
fair
punishing
enough.
them. It's just trying to help a generation, because we are losing a generation.
Okay.
And those are the people who steal our dustbins, take advantage during demonstration. They steal from people's shops because it's a gang. During the day, they are begging for your money, pretending to be poor street families trying to earn a living. At night, they will steal your phone and your valuables, and even break into your shop and take advantage of what you have and take them away.
All right.
Including their doors. If they're metallic, they'll take and sell them as scrap metals. So we are trying to get rid of them from CBD. Even those mamas who are operating as beggars with children, they hire those children to use them as a shield, as a way of seeking sympathy. When they see you passing, they will beat that kid to start crying.
Okay.
Once the kid starts crying, and they think they have some kind of chemicals, they apply in their eyes. Ukifika pale na yeye anamwaga machozi. Kuna mmoja juzi nimempata, nikamweka live. One of the officers aliona wale wanafukuza street families. Akaniambia huyo alinunuliwa simu akalipiwa rent ya 30,000. Nyumba yake ni 2,000. Na baada kwa street. Because to her it's work.
Okay.
As you wake up to come to this office, she wakes up to go to the street.
The streets.
And again, most of them, their relatives, their families, they know that they are working.
Okay.
Now that I'm exposing them, they have started running away from CBD.
Okay.
Now what I'm doing, I go and take a photo, I post on my social media, their relatives, they show up.
Okay. There's an issue here about dumping, and there's the issue of the Dandora dumping site, which was supposed to be closed. But maybe you can tell us the update about it. And again, there have been complaints and issues of maybe claims of corruption in terms of giving out tenders on garbage collection. Maybe what do you have to say about that?
What I say is this. Dandora dump site, it is the designated county dumping site.
Yes.
It is gazetted. And what we are doing, because again we can't be taking garbage from Nairobi to go and pollute Dandora, because there are people who live around that dump site. We are working on a waste to energy project, which is going now to recycle the waste, convert it to electricity and other valuables. So it's ongoing. It's a process that is ongoing. It's a procurement process issue that we are working on. And on the issue of tenders, there's no corruption. You know, tenders are advertised, people participate, they undergo the procurement process until they are awarded the tenders. So don't listen to those propagandas being propagated outside here by politicians who don't understand procurement process. They never went to school to study procurement. The only thing they went to school to study, maybe it's other courses. Even some of them, the degrees they have, it's procured. You know, when you see people making noise outside here, go do background check if they ever attended classes.
Okay.
Joffrey, there's something you said a few minutes ago, maybe about 2 minutes or so. You said that these are the the street families or the criminal elements within Nairobi that end up destroying people's properties in the CBD, especially during times such as what we had last Wednesday. But you've also been accused, together with your boss, that is Honorable Sakaja, of perpetuating the violence that we are seeing in the streets of Nairobi, especially during protests. What do you have to say about that?
You know, that's an accusation. Myself, I was at home. The only day I was seen in town is when they were destroying the dustbins, newly installed dustbins. That's when I went and tried to secure them, those that were removed and were in the streets. Because again, if you just see someone destroying a property, go tell them, please don't destroy, this belongs to you. I was trying even to educate them, trying to tell them, please don't destroy what belongs to you. On the issue of goons, those are propagandas. It's reverse psychology being played by politicians. Some of them from Embakasi who think that by playing reverse psychology you can become the governor. And I always tell them, we know them. We understand where they have come from.
Yeah.
Someone who can shoot a DJ for refusing to play his favorite song and again greeting his girlfriend in the club doesn't make him qualified to become a governor. Tomorrow he becomes the governor, he will shoot all the men who will try to greet his wife and girlfriend. So let's not work out of emotions, and let's not just fall victims of reverse psychology. We are educated people.
Yeah.
We don't buy such kind of propagandas. Like how do you create a screenshot of a conversation between me, my boss, and his PA, whereby the name, if you go to WhatsApp group,
yes,
it starts with the name and the phone number starts with 07. If you go
I
to
saw
a
that
WhatsApp
explanation.
conversation, the phone, the name, the way it's encrypted and the way it's structured, the WhatsApp standard, how the number appears, it starts with positive 254.
Yes.
Not 07.
All right.
So only a fool will buy a fabricated propaganda like that one. Someone who never stepped to a school. And you know, they try to use poor people. Such leaders, that's why they play a card of poverty, that the poor person should always be allowed to break the law, to kill you because he want to take your money. He's poor, he kills you.
Yeah.
Then you will separate the poor that he has made his money, while the rich person has been killed. There was the same thing they are doing by fabricating such propaganda to win the hearts of the poor, because they believe the poor are many.
Right.
They'll vote them in, and they continue now, even they become worse. You know, such a person is very dangerous.
There were some images that circulated online with that watch.
Up to it.
Is it? It's up to it.
Yeah, this watch, any person can wear it. Even you, if you want to go and feed the kids, you can always come to our offices, or to go to the school will be given for free. You load money. You use it to feed those kids who cannot afford a meal. It's just 5 bob. So some of those people,
I load money into the watch.
There's a way you load.
Okay.
It's an application. Once you load it, like 1,000,
right,
divided by 5, you are able to feed like 200 children. So anybody can have access to it. Many people have access to it.
So it's not exclusive to county
and
officials.
Even their children have access to it. So if you are a parent and you have access to it, and maybe you have a passion of feeding other kids, you can always have that watch on. You load money. You can walk to any school, not a must the school where your child is studying, to any other school and feed kids. So when you see people trying to fabricate things and get propaganda, is a sign of desperation. Is a sign of you know, there's an MP who has employed many bloggers who are benefiting almost 90% of his CDF than the people who elected him should benefit. How do you employ bloggers all over the country? You, instead of going to meet the people and discuss development, you are meeting bloggers in hotel and discussing how you are going to defame the government that is serving the people to look like it's doing nothing.
Because again, we know you have a lot of beef with Embakasi East MP Honorable Babu.
It's not a beef. These are facts.
People have pointed out that it's a beef, because perhaps you might be having also your own ambitions in Embakasi East.
No, I don't have ambitions.
So what's the deal there?
I don't have ambitions of taking his position. If I ever had ambitions, then I'll be camping there and campaigning and talking to the people. I normally go there to collect garbage and leave. I normally go there to plant trees and leave. And it's my daily routine job. So I have no interest whatsoever. It's only that he fears, because we once vied against each other in the University of Nairobi,
right,
where I won the election, but he was literally leagued in by administration because he had blackmailed them.
The University of Nairobi administration.
Okay. He had blackmailed them. He had some
damning,
some document which could take down the entire administration, involving the VC and the finance department and procurement, how they were doing their business there. So is someone who has survived in blackmails. You will always play a victim to gain sympathy.
Did you know this at the time? the fact that he had evidence against this
Those
administration.
are things
And
I knew. I was called by the one of the deputy vice chancellor who was from my tribeman. He told me, where is a switch? We request you, please don't bring chaos.
Yeah.
This man has ABCD, and if it goes, we all go. So please,
Geoffrey, why didn't you come forward with that information at the time? Go to the police.
You see,
as a upstanding Kenyan citizen, now I know the vice chancellor and his team are doing ABCD.
You see, the person will not disclose the details, and you cannot report something you don't have tangible evidence at hand. But it's true, it was there. The way he told me and he begged me, it was a clear indication. And he was literally leagued in, and his politics was using goons. If you want to know who owns goons, the one even moving to CBD and destroying property, he is known to own those goons. Go back to the University of Nairobi. Mike Jacob was almost killed by those goons. Our students were being raped by those goons.
Wait, which Jacob?
Mike Jacob, he was vying against him.
Okay, yes.
We also have students, when campaigns will start for SONU, a student will always die and be dumped in the swimming pool, and the same person will come carrying a Bible, saying that he's preaching peace, trying to play for the university, going against the administration so that he wins the sympathy of students. So it's the cause which we know. It's a person that we know. And the same has always even happened outside the politics. In his constituency is the only constituency where the returning officer will die because for him to win. So it's something that we pray that it be investigated well, because if you see right now there are goons moving around CBD behaving as hawkers to get Mosiria and attack him, so that it looks like hawkers have attacked Mosiria. And it's the same person who has hired those goons to move around. You see,
and you have this information, or is it one of those things you're paranoid and you're probably thinking?
Me, I'm not paranoid. Me, I always get facts. Because the people I deal with in CBD are so many, and when you get such information, don't take it lightly.
So you have your own informers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, why is it that now you're saying these things here, and kama hizo za shule, why was it not reported? Why didn't we see any action taken?
See, back in the university, the system was corrupted. It was a rogue system, which at that time, how it operated, and I was a young person. I also didn't have advisors to guide me that go and do this how it's being handled, but we learn in the process. But let's not dwell in an individual. Let's discuss issues affecting Nairobians. Let's go back to issues of environment and discuss how we're going to manage the solid waste. Like right now we have so many illegal dumping sites in estates. People have converted their piece of land to sorting center, where they bring garbage, they remove recyclable. The rest of the waste, which is organic, they don't need, they're supposed to take it to Dandora, like in Gitanga Road. Someone is benefiting out of that waste. That's someone's land.
Someone actually once told me that there's a cartel in charge of Dandora, that for you to dump your waste at Dandora.
That's what I'm saying. All those dumping sites, they have people managing them, cartels. So they earn out of it. So even if you try to close it down, there's a lot of even political interference. Someone will come and say, maybe the area MP, MCA, that these are my boys, they're running out of it. But again, they forget the people suffering from the pollution. They are also his people, his voters. So we really need to have a way, if they have to do this business of recycling and getting waste pickers, they have to be organized, because they earn out of it. They can always get a private service provider in waste collection and transportation to transport it to the final disposal. And also, if you go to Recon Road, the biggest dumping site that we closed down, the people who are running it are cartels. There are people who are being paid by a truck to dump there is 2,000. So per day, if they get 100 trucks, that's how much?
200,000.
there's a lot of vehicle emissions. We have industries, smoke and other fumes that are being emitted from those industries. The air is literally polluted in the city, and most of us are victims of air pollution. When you see me, sometimes I'm pulling my nose. It's not that I have mucus; it's the itch. My nose itch because when I go to polluted areas with a lot of dust, they itch and they really affect me so much. So that's why I'm also encouraging all the developers. When you are doing your development, there's law guiding that you have to plant trees, you have to leave green spaces. Today there are a lot of flats in Nairobi because the developers they have been building houses not considering green spaces. When it rains, all the water will find itself on the concrete, and they will all flow to the drainage system, which was not built to accommodate that growing capacity of the population and the ground being covered by concrete. That leads to floods, especially in areas of parklands and in other parts of Nairobi.
Okay.
And even in Kilimani. It's because it's an historical issue which started from the previous regimes. Approvals were being given without considering issues of drainage and sewer, and that's why we are experiencing this problem.
Okay.
But again, it can be sorted because the county government is working on trying to increase the capacity of the sewer, the drainage system, so that we try and mitigate these floods that are affecting the people of Nairobi. But again, all this is a problem that has been created by the people of Nairobi. Developers who just want to construct a house, not considering about their neighbors who will be affected. Some even build on top of the river.
Right.
And they diverted the river to the stormwater drainage system. Now that one affects the flow of the water.
Geoffrey, I'm afraid we have to come to an end as far as this conversation is concerned. We were hoping we'd have this for 2 hours, but pole sana ulipotea. But nonetheless, we shall be inviting you back here to have more of these conversations. Thank you for taking time off your busy schedule. We are coming back in a few minutes, and the conversation is going to be governance versus politics. Which way are we going to be taking? Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Yes.
It's 9 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. A police officer linked to the fatal shooting of 2 people, among them his girlfriend, at a pub in Uasin Gishu County has appeared before a court in Eldoret. Eric Kirui is accused of killing Caroline Malakwen and Ignatius Kipchumba on June 26, 2025. The prosecution has requested to hold the suspect for 14 more days, arguing he is a flight risk. The case will be mentioned on Wednesday.
Considering that today I'll be handling civil matters, I may not have time to consider your submissions. So you come back on 2nd of July for ruling at 2:30. Meanwhile, Mr. Kiama, nothing stops the officers from continuing with the investigations.
A land dispute between the Geothermal Development Company and locals in Menengai, Nakuru County is threatening to disrupt ongoing geothermal exploration activities in the area. Residents of Old Rongai in Rongai sub-county have raised concerns over possible evictions after GDC announced plans to expand its operations by acquiring additional land for a joint project with the Kenya Electricity Generating Company. The proposed development is expected to impact 16 villages in Menengai West and Kabazi wards, covering over 53,000 acres. The revelation has triggered anxiety and protests among community members who who fear forced displacement, loss of farmland, and environmental harm.
They are peaceful people. They're highly organized. They're very conscious of their rights. We have been successful, at least in challenging one license that has been issued for lack of public consultation. We'll continue to support them and stand with them so that they safeguard their rights.
Wakati tulikuwa na public hearing, NEMA walikuja ground. Na NEMA wakatueleza kuwa before wapeane ile leseni ya geothermal exploration, watarudi kwa ground. Hawakurudi.
Former DP Rigathi Gachagua is not under investigation in relation to the violent scenes that erupted during the June 25th anniversary protest, says DCI boss Mohamed Amin. Speaking to the media on Monday, Amin denied the reports that the investigative agency had summoned Gachagua. However, he made it clear that the former deputy president, like all citizens, is not above the law. Amin added that Gachagua does not enjoy any immunity from prosecution. Therefore, if investigations prove that he aided any criminal activity, then appropriate action will be taken.
As regards Rigathi Gachagua, it is not true that we have summoned Rigathi Gachagua. But I would like to point out very, very clearly that Rigathi Gachagua does not enjoy any immunity against prosecution. He is subject to the laws of the land. If in our investigations he is found to have been involved in any criminal activity, then appropriate action will be taken.
Meanwhile, the DCI boss says blogger Ndiangui Kinyagia is not in police custody. The DCI boss Mohamed Amin says Kinyagia was a person of interest to the police after publishing inflammatory materials on social media. He adds police profiled him, identified his residence, and officers conducted a search in his apartment in Kino, but he was not there. Police are now urging Kinyagia to surrender himself to the nearest police station.
Ndiangui is not under the custody of officers of the National Police Service. And that is what I'm going to say rightly before the Honorable Judge tomorrow. We don't have him. And wherever he is, he should just come and surrender to the police so as to assist in our investigations.
Brazilian club Fluminense shocked Inter Milan with a 2-0 win to reach the quarterfinals of the Club World Cup, where they will face Al Hilal. Striker German Canos, stooping a header in the 3rd minute, put the Brazilian Giants ahead early, and substitute Hercules scored a curling edge of the box shot against the run of play in difficult last 25 minutes. Inter's star forward Lautaro Martinez had a series of chances to equalize before the second goal, including one against the post late on. The match was played in front of a crowd of 20,000 in the final match at the 74,000 capacity Bank of American Stadium in Charlotte. And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed, that's very true. We are the home of hard truths and bold insights. It's the people's breakfast. My name is Mbuvi.
My name is Triciah Wayua. You can call me Patricia also. And remember, you can follow us on our social media pages. Radio Gen KE, that is on Instagram, that is on TikTok, that is on X platform. And actually, we are live on those platforms. You go there on our X platform at Radio Gen KE, you will find us there. And also on Facebook, Radio Generation Kenya, utatupata pale. We are also live on Facebook. You can be able to follow us. And also for those of you who want to tune in, that is through the FM 90.7 Mombasa, 88.8, that is here in Nairobi. Those all the way from Garissa, 89.5. You can tune in and listen, get a piece of what we are discussing, we are conversing here.
All right. It's 7 minutes past 7 o'clock, and we are expecting our guests. That is Mundalo Advice. Mundalo is the National Youth Chair, Jubilee Party, and MD 2 Cents Leadership Institute. Kama kawaida again amepotea. I think now we need to be sending an Uber or a Bolt for these guys, because the rate at which wanapotea sielewi. But anyway, we are hoping that we shall have him here to have this very important conversation that is about governance and policy. Governance versus politics rather. And we are asking which way. So as we wait for our guest, Patricia, can we have governance without politics, in your opinion? Or can we have politics without governance?
Well, it's a bit hard. These things, I think they just work
hand in hand.
Moja
ni brother mwingine.
Yeah, looking at the constitution that we have, our constitution has allowed these both to operate. Yeah, because most of these seats that we are seeing, they are political. Most of our leaders that we are bringing on board, they are political.
Right.
And of course, because they are coming to manage our resources. Most of them, they are coming to make decisions. They are coming to shape opinions around our resources, around the leadership of this country. Now, governance also gets in.
You see, even in an office such as this one,
you
will never lack politics. Amda kosa siasa. Nyumbani kwako, hutawahi kosa siasa. You being the head of the family, for instance, as a man, you have got to manage resources. You have got to manage your salary. You have got to protect your family. You have got to direct and give your family, actually, you have to give them a headway. Which way are we going, Daddy? And that by itself is politics.
Yeah.
That by itself, kwanzia hiyo ni siasa. Because kuna wakati watoto wako watataka wapelekwe swimming. Na wakienda swimming, wanataka kukula ice cream. Na wanataka kula chips. So you have to decide whether hii swimming itafanyika. And sometimes you negotiate with them and tell them this weekend hatuendi swimming. This weekend we are going for a movie. Or this weekend tunaenda ushago. We have to go see your grandparents. And they will tell you, okay, fine. Kama tunaenda ushago this weekend, promise us next weekend tutaenda swimming.
Wasema politics tayari zimeanza.
That is governance and that is politics. Because lazima you have to appease one side. So even in politics, you have to appease one side. There are times where you clash with teachers. There are times you will clash with doctors. There are times you will clash with interns and nurses. There are times uta clash na watu wa bodaboda. Na kuna wakati utahafu kupromise watu wa madaktari pesa na uambie madaktari uambie waalimu wangoje. That is governance.
Yeah.
But it is also politics because you're sitting with the leaders of those people. Sometimes even an MP from Nairobi Central will come and tell you, hey, sasa mheshimiwa rais tunataka kitu fulani hapa Nairobi. Na yeye anakuambia haya, sasa na wewe enda waambie watu wa Nairobi wafanye nini? Wanipatie ni politics. So I don't think you can have governance without politics. And even in a place like a church, we have seen politics tear down churches. Why? Bishop alitupotea na pesa yote. Bishop analala na mabibi za watu kwa kanisa. That is politics.
Those are politics.
And at the end of the day, Bishop lazima akuja explain his actions if he wants to continue to govern the flock. Because if he's going to continue receiving our sadaka, lazima aombe msamaha. Ama ajitetea seme, hey, hapa Brian Odora limekelea. Mimi sijafanya anything of the sort. Politics and governance.
Yeah, these are two things. Yeah, these are two things that one cannot happen without maybe the other.
And I feel like the current leaders we have right now, they either don't know how to balance the politics side or they do not know how to balance the governance side. Very few are able to meet the threshold to handle both.
Well, I think now that the issue, the main issue here is now the ethics. Yeah. The ethics that should be there,
right,
and the accountability that should be there. I think that is where now the problem or the issue, yes, where many leaders are not able to balance. They are not able to have the ethics that will enable them to be able to do what they are required to do. Yeah. You have been you have been elected to a certain position. Yeah, ulipiga siasa ukamwambia mimi niko na hii manifesto, this is what I'm going to do for you people. Then now you have been given that seat. Yeah, you have been given that seat. It is now high time now you put now politics aside, start working for the people.
True.
Start working for the people. Be accountable to whatever things that are happening in your constitution. I mean in your constituency.
Right.
Be accountable to the things happening in your ward. Are you responsible? Are you accountable for the things happening in the country? I think that is where now our leaders need to go back. Politics is one thing, but your politics will not work without governance.
The governance.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, I'll go back to the statement that I used, and I said some of the, and I'll point out a few examples. Ndio nisikaini kama ninapeana tu sweeping statements. My lecturer at the university likes to remind me, Mbuvi, you can't just give sweeping statements. You have to follow it with some citation of sorts. You have seen leaders who are very good in giving instructions, and they will say, hapa tutafanya hivi, hii mikakati tumeweka hapa, kuna watu tumetuma waenda wakafanya kitu fulani. That for me is just the politics, but they do not know how to govern it and ensure that there's deliverable service, quantifiable deliverables that we can actually say that, look, these are the key performance indicators that we gave you, and vis-a-vis, these are the results that we have gotten. And you will see them in the executive. You will see, for example, we saw a list that came out, some of the best performing members of parliament. If you look at those performing members of parliament, they are both not only vocal, but they are always on the ground. You will see them always in parliament, and they will always have an opinion on national issues. For me, those are people who have mastered the art or the science, if I may say, of both governance and politics. Kuna watu tunawapenda sana. Kuna watu yani, kuna tu ukikaa tu hivi, kuna ma MPs tu kwa akili yako wanakujanga. And some of them I don't agree necessarily with their actions or activities, extracurricular activities outside politics. But at the end of the day, the people actually do love them. And a very good example is Babu Owino. Tumetoka kuongelelea huyo jamaa hapa saizi. I'm not campaigning for him. I'm not in his constituency.
Yes.
However, he was rated one of the best performing members of parliament. Because when the data was retrieved, this guy was performing. So you'll always see Babu Owino talking about issues, national issues, kutetea protesters, wanafunzi, madaktari, walimu, and he's still on the ground doing whatever he needs to do. However, we know other sides of him that would rather not mention today because tutaanza kufukua mauchungu mingi kwa watu wengi. Can I give you a very interesting fact about another politician who knows how to perform, perhaps not to politic? Do you know Kimani Chungwa? When you go to his constituency, he's the leader of majority, right?
Yes.
Do you know ukienda kwa constituency yake, si ni Kikuyu? That guy is performing really well. Nasikia tu nimejionea personally. Mabarabara huko ziko fiti sana.
Ziko fiti.
But for some strange reason, we hate his politics. We hate some of the things that he says. Well, some agree with him, of course.
Yeah.
But you will agree with me that every time he's in the headlines, it's not necessarily a good one. You know? So so for me that is governance, akofiti, lakini politics kidogo iko out.
Yeah, there's also something we were talking about, who will be unseat. I mean, as opposition were fighting to see who is going to unseat the president. There's something we touched on there about mobilization capacity, regional influence, and national appeal. All of this falling on the side of politics. Right. And we had examples of leaders that you are talking about. You talked of Maraga. Yeah?
Yes.
And most of the times hapo umekuwa ukiniuliza maswali.
Yes.
Je, Maraga akona uwezo?
Akona the spine, that is a question. I would like to ask about another part of the anatomy, but it's wrong.
Yes.
For morning radio.
Yeah. So you have been asking, does he have that capability of being able maybe to mobilize people? Does he have that appeal? Well,
for me, are you asking me that? Is that a question that you're asking me?
Maybe, yeah.
He doesn't. You see, for someone who's cultured and educated, and people who, they'll tell you that Maraga is actually the guy. You know, and they can point out and say, you know, Omkia is actually the guy. So actually, why not have maybe Maraga as the president and then Nani Okia as the running mate, or vice versa? Okia, Orezo, Maraga running mate. People have got to do those debates zinafanyika mashinani na kwa mabunge za wananchi, you know, and they will tell you that this person, they actually have what it takes for leadership.
Yes.
But they just don't have what it takes for campaigns. Yes.
So now
someone like Matiang'i has what it takes for campaigns. He can play that if he wanted. Anaweza ingia huko kwa takataka bana. Mtamtafuta Dandora dump site mkitaka.
And again, he's also good at governance.
And exactly.
Yeah, he's also good at governance.
Yeah. So, there's some people who've strike your balance. Yes. Una get. Another person I'd forgotten. Kiharu MP, Nyoro. Dindi. Sijuma watu wanamuitanga Dede Nyoro. But yeah, Nyoro again also strike that balance between politics and he knows when to exit the stage. For instance, he has been very quiet in the last couple of days, weeks. Yeah. Umemsikia mahali hata akiongea juu ya maandamano? Why? For me, I think it's just him being strategic. He understands the politics. So he's working very well on the ground and he's doing a lot of things for the people of Kiharu. And I am sure, I went with this guy to university. Tuliwanga naye Kenyatta University. And he was actually a student leader for a while. And I know, I think I know when I see strategy. Umseme nyamaza strategically. And at the right time, ataanza kuongea. Una get?
Yes. So now this thing takes us to the whole issue of technocrats. Yeah? But I remember last year when the Gen Zs were protesting, of course, one of the key issues they were protesting against is the cabinet secretaries, right?
Right.
And the issue was they were looking at that president should be working with technocrats. Yeah, the people that you're putting to head these departments, these ministries.
Yes,
Kenyans felt like we need technocrats, and actually, that is one of the things that the president promised Kenyans.
Yeah. You see, the funny thing is, everyone knows that it's not even about atinini or nini. And one of the questions that Kenyans and other people have been asking is, for instance, would you go to a hospital and allow the driver that brought you to hospital to operate on you? Of course not. Yes. Why? Because your driver is good at driving. Would you allow someone who doesn't have experience in handling children to take care of your children? Of course not. You will need someone who knows and that's why a lot of our nannies are women, because women are nurturing and so on and so forth. So even in parliament, in governance, why would you put someone in the Ministry of Health who doesn't understand anything, has absolutely no background in health, has never even worked in the health sector? They might not be a doctor, they might not be a nurse, but at least they have worked in the health sector and they understand. Why would you put someone in charge of education who has absolutely no idea what is entailed in the education sector? Why would you do that? And yet we have a country of 55 million people. There are very many people who are qualified, people who have studied education. They have PhDs. Some of them are professors that you can put in the education sector.
There was this appointment of Aisha Jumwa.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa. Kule Pwani katika department katika maswala ya engineering, right? And the engineers there were like, no.
Exactly.
No. Huyu atumtaki. And it was really chaotic and actually walileta shida.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at even these leaders, like we have a minister in the health sector.
Yeah.
We have a minister in mining. And most of the time we have been pushing we get technocrats, people like, if I'm heading this department, I need to be able to understand this is how this department can perform.
Yes.
This is how we are able to attain our objectives as a ministry, right?
Yes.
But then now, you, on the other hand, you realize that these things are supported by our constitution. Yeah. People argue that these are positions that are political, and that is why now the president is going to appoint somebody. Nimekupatia hiyo wizara, nimekupatia hii kwa sababu it is a political seat. But
and you're right, actually. That is why we have a PS, a principal secretary. A principal secretary is actually someone who now is knowledgeable in that field. Yes, I agree. A CS is a political appointment.
Yeah.
Kitambo tulikuwa tunaita ministers, yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're going to appoint a political figure in that position, look, it's okay. But can you appoint someone who understands that position? fine, we have politicians who are comedians. Sikuna Jalanga huko, sikuna KJ. We have politicians who are finance experts. Sikuna Nyoro.
Yeah.
Sikuna Kimani Kuria. You understand? We have politicians who are doctors. Veterinary doctors. The first one that comes to mind is Boni Halwale, the senator for, is it Busia or Bungoma? It's I think it's Bungoma. Is it Kakamega?
No, yeah, I think
hizo counties za Waluya zao ni changanya. Lakini you get what I mean. Boni, for me, if you were to ask me, if you were to assign him in the ministry of perhaps livestock, I would understand. Yes, he's a politician, but he also understands the field. If you are to appoint Nyoro to the position of CS for finance, treasury, hiyo ninaweza elewa. Or SMEs, cooperatives, naweza elewa. Why? Because he has a background in finance. He has studied this at the university. I was with him, I know. If you appoint someone else, let's say Tuju, to the Ministry of Information and ICT, Tuju is a seasoned journalist. Huyu ni mtu anajua kinya anafanya. Unaget? He's an expert in communication. He might not be an expert in IT, but at least he understands one or two things, and he would be able to steer that industry in the direction that it needs. He will be able to talk with industry experts and industry leads. When we send him to the US, he can actually represent us because of the titles and the experience he has had in the industry. Sasa shida inakuja mahali. Unachukua mtu ambaye siye daktari, huyu jamaa ama mwanamke hajaifanya kazi kwa hiyo industry ya afya, alafu unampatia nafasi. Then hawa ndio watu watafika tu mahali, and I'm just picking out random ministries. I'm not attacking an individual. Huyu mtu mnamtuma kwa conventions around the world. Ameenda US to have a meeting of health ministers to discuss the way forward for the health sectors of the world. Jamaa amefika pale, hashikanishi. Ameketi kando yake ni madaktari wameketi pale kama ministers from other countries all over the world. They are doctors, they are nurses, they are medical lab practitioners and so on and so forth. Wewe umeenda pale, ile title uliko nayo ni former member of parliament. Period.
See, they carry with them the PSs. Wanaenda na PS.
Pale ni kongamano la ministers. Kuna kongamano la PSs.
Yes.
Tuongelee kongamano la ministers. Yes. So you see, from South Africa, there is Dr. So-and-so. He's a neurosurgeon. From Brazil, Dr. So-and-so is a cardiologist.
Your former MP is there representing
then
Kenya.
Now they say Kenya, honorable so-and-so, full stop. You know, siko ubaya. But even other countries, you know, and that is why Africa si uchekelewa. Si ati kwa sababu sisi Africa ni wajinga ama hatujui politics ama hatujui governance. But it's just because we do not have strategies that can actually help us. So if you're running a campaign today to be the president of Kenya, the first thing you need to do is surround yourself with individuals that you can actually sell to this country. So that we are not just seeing the usual politics, no, but we are seeing, because even in other countries we see when they run their elections, you will see the players in the campaigns of those individuals. There are players that hata nini kama country mnaona, okay, our presidential candidate has got a health expert, so even when he's speaking policies on health, we know Dr. Kimani ndiye anampatia hiyo advice. He has finance and accounting and whatever experts. Akiongea juu ya how we will build our economy, we can see he's speaking from the advice of so and so.
Let me take you back to what happened the other day. We saw the cabinet secretary Murkomen. You saw the statements that he made.
Exactly. And he's a lawyer.
This is what we are talking about.
How do you make such kinds of statements yet you're a lawyer? In law, if you were to be taken to court today, ni venye tu Kenya kidogo kuna kwanga na shida, but if you were to be taken to court today, utajitetea aje? Utaambia judge nini? Make this make sense. You know the kind of questions we usually ask ourselves.
So according to you right now, the president maybe could have considered people like at least mtu ambaye anaelewa hiyo department. But then tukienda hivyo unapata kwamba all these cabinet secretaries ni wachache ambao watabaki katika their ministries.
Ni kweli, na ndio maana nasema this country has got 50 million plus people. And every day new people have been born. Every day, every few weeks, every few months, we have fresh graduates. So we cannot say that we are out of experts in any field.
We have a lot.
Yeah, we cannot say that we have. Do you know that people studying nuclear science in this country?
Yeah.
We cannot say that we have a shortage of experts in any field. And that is why, yes, we have a government that has got ministries. But if you look at those ministries, even when you look at just a simple ministry such as defense, and you ask yourself, the person who's been put in charge of defense, yes, we understand they're a political figure. But what if the things that boil down in this country boil down because of the kinds of policies or decisions that are made in that political office? Yeah, the president is a politician, sindio? But also the president has got his own expertise. Like our current president has a PhD in botany.
Yeah.
So I expect that ikifika kwa ile hiyo department yake ama expertise yake, something in that line should be flourishing. You understand? Why would you, if you're an expert, umeenda shule umesoma kuna PhD, mbona ikifika kwa point watu wenye wanasimamia wa Kenya, hizo ministries unazipatia watu wenye, and then now you have to end up doing reshuffles after every few months or after every 1 year.
Yeah, and I think
it's because of the governance part of your strategy.
Yeah, I think that is where now our country is failing, and in terms of these leaders are not able to account. Yeah, they are not able to account for their department because there are some things they do not understand about that department. Do you remember the president sometimes back telling the ministers that you guys have given you ministries and I know more
about what
is happening in your ministries
than you.
Yeah. What is your work? And sometimes you should not blame these ministers. Sometimes they don't understand. Yeah.
You know what I like, for example, with our last guest, Geoffrey Mosiria. Geoffrey, you know, the moment he sat on this seat, immediately after introduction, and I asked him, tell us what your office entails. Geoffrey amefungua mdomo mpaka mimi mwenyewe nikasahau tulikuwa tuna have interview. Because he was outlining the achievements and he spoke about what he did at Hospital A. He even mentioned other hospitals I didn't know exist. I still have to go back to that video and confirm which hospitals those are. He talked about, I didn't even know we don't have a CT scan in you know, a public hospital until he mentioned that we have a CT scan in hii hospitali inajulikana not Pumwani, hii ingine Mama Lucy. And I was like, I actually thought these are things that actually exist in these hospitals until he said it. So the idea here of and I respect someone like Mosiria for the sentiments that he exuded in this studio. And then I asked him, tell us, because I was so impressed about his performance in the health ministry, or rather in the health department. Nikamwambia nishow tena hii ya environment, nikadhani ataniambia vitu mbili tatu. And he went
he has done a lot.
And on and on. This is someone who understands politics and understands also governance. Yeah.
So that's why we are getting back to the question. Do we go back to the drawing board? Do we go back to the drawing board in respect to these appointments that the president does? These positions that we have created.
You and I, the only drawing board we'll go to is the ballot box. That's you and I. What the president does, that's on him and up to him. If come 2027, we do decide to vote in a different president, whoever that might be or will be, again, the buck will stop with him or her on matters governance and politics. Politics is usually done during campaigns.
But nowadays we are seeing politics, and that is why we are not able to get what we are supposed to get out of these leaders.
Yeah.
We are seeing politics in Kenya is going 5 years. 5 years kuanzia rais ameingia katika uongozi, kuanzia siku yenye mbunge ameingia katika uongozi, kuanzia siku MCA wako ameingia katika uongozi, tunaona siasa zinaanza the following day.
Ndio maana mtu mjanja atafanya kazi. Nikupatie mfano wa kiongozi aliyefanya kazi bila stress mingi na madrama mingi. Mwai Kibaki. We might not agree with everything that he did, but I never saw President Kibaki campaigning if it wasn't campaign season. Kibaki got in there we hardly saw Kibaki o sijui mara ako wapi launching sijui project X, o mara ako huko anafungua mifereji ya nani, o mara kuna chozi imefunguliwa wapi. Because for him politics ended after campaigns, or rather during campaigns.
Yes.
When you get into the office, now start your governance, build schools. You know, someone who works quietly actually works more.
Will deliver.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And you're not working to please Kenyans. You're actually working to deliver. Yeah. Someone once told us, I'm not sure that it was Fanyamambo, but he said that Kibaki worked without necessarily borrowing a lot of money. Yeah. And for me, that is where governance steps in. That's the balance we're looking for. Not fighting your opposition leaders every other day. Leave it to your politicians, to your minions, like I like calling them, to fight. Wewe fanya kazi bana. Changamka, jenga mashule. Changamka, ndio tukimaliza mwisho wa mwaka 31st December. Tuambie sasa kutoka January, these are the projects that I did and this is the evidence. So we didn't have to see you go cut a ribbon somewhere. But day in day out, we kazi yako ilikuwa tu kuongea na your minions, asking them kazi imefanyika, nini imejengewa wapi, project gani imesimama, what is needed. You see, even when you work in silence like that, I feel it's more effective. And you get more respect. Because the more you're in the papers, the more you're on TV, the more you're on TikTok, the more you expose yourself for us to scrutinize you. Because Patricia, kila siku kiko pale kwa mtandao kituambia, nimekuja ku launch maji hapa hivi. Tunaanza kuangalia, lakini maji pia una launch na kaaje. But you have the opportunity to correct some of these things chini ya maji. Because you're working for the people, you're not working for clout.
And I think that is one thing that people need to get out of these protests zenye tumeona juzi. Like we've seen these protests kwanzia last year, especially about the Gen Zs pushing. I think basically they are pushing for that governance. Yeah, whatever the Gen Zs are pushing for, they basically it's all about the governance, because
it's good governance.
We're looking at a good governance. We're looking at how our leaders are being accountable. We are looking at issues to do with corruption, addressing a corruption. Issues to do with corruption, because this corruption is eating into the funds maybe that would have catered for good services in the hospitals. It is this corruption that is hindering your mheshimiwa kuja kufanya nini, kuja kufanya kazi katika eneo lake la bunge, ambapo you are supposed to benefit from the services that is supposed to offer in your area. You get. So I think this is something that the government, the political elite, all these people need to sit down and try and see where the problem is coming from.
Wayua, they know.
They know, yeah?
They don't need to sit down anywhere. Unajua kuna kitu ni kama muelewangi mkisema hapa hivi sijui we sit.
Mwanasiasa si mjinga, anajua
we sit to do what? You know, this is not like at Al-Shabaab you're fighting from a distance and you do not know what they want. They keep on blowing you up and you don't understand why. The government knows. They know what the people want. And sitting down is just another waste of time. And again, I'll go back to what the protests from last year were all about. And they said we are tribeless and we are leaderless. And they said we are what? Partyless. Do you know why they said that? Because it is all this mambo ya kukuwa na tribes na parties na leaders that inachelewesha delivery.
Kazi.
Inachelewesha governance. Inachelewesha kazi. See, we don't need to have a prefect to tell the prefect, go tell the school we don't have water. The school knows. They've not been paying a water bill for the last few months. They know there's no water.
Yes.
So we don't need our head boy to go and remind them. We don't need our head boy to go and tell the school, the principal, that we are hungry. The principal knows. Chakula hajakuwa kipikwa huko because hajakuwa akinunua, watu wako njaa. He doesn't need the head boy to go and tell him, Bwana principal, we need food. The principal doesn't need to be told that we do not have beds to sleep on. The principal doesn't need to be told anything. The principal already knows. So this whole sitting down issue is just wasting time. Yes, the students have been rioting in school. They have been holding placards. They have already told him. Besides, the head boys already had been telling him for a while, So hii ingine ya kuambia head boy endo ukumbushe Prince hatuna food, hiyo ni story. Hiyo ni story. Prince mwenyewe anatembeanga hivi shule, anaona kumewaka moto huko. Anatembeanga hivi shule, anasikia nduru za watoto huko wengine wanachapwa, anasikia wengine wakirepiwa. Ameona wengine wajenda darasani juu wako na njaa. Anajua wanafunzi hawawezi fika darasani because of insecurity. Harassment.
Yes.
Anajua watchmen wa shule wanatandika wanafunzi because ameona funerals zikifanyika. Ameona wazazi wakikuja shule wakililia wakiuliza watoto wao wako wapi. Prince anajua my friend.
Yeah, they know all these things.
So hii story ya kuketi chini ndio kitu sasa wa Kenya walikataa. Na ndio maana wanadai mtu asituongelelee. Ndio maana wanadai Right Honorable Prime Minister tulia. Hii story ya kusema unatutetea chorea. Hii story ya Kasmuel kusema ati ameenda kuingia ODM ati ndio change things from inside. Wanamwambia bro, tumekuona, tunajua hii ni ufala. Hii story nyingine ya mtu kwenda kujifanya sasa ameshikana wanasiasa wengine in the name of what sijui ndio the Gen Z voice is kick. Already Gen Z voice inasikika.
It's a voice that you cannot pretend.
Na ndio maana wanakasirika. Na ndio maana wanakasirika when you start telling them we need to talk what? We have already told you what we need. So who do you like? Maybe you want us to change the language, perhaps. Yes, but don't tell us we need to talk.
Yeah, the government. It is high time now. The government. We want to see that governance from the government. That governance from our leaders. We want to see that responsibility, a bit of it. We want to see the accountability of this whole issue, this whole leadership of our country, because that is what is remaining. Because the Gen Zs wakisema kwamba sisi tunataka cost of living ishuke chini, we go back to governance. We go back to our leaders. What policies are you pushing?
Yeah.
We kama mbunge, what policies are you pushing? We go back to the senators. They have the oversight role. What are you doing about these budgets that are being allocated? What are you doing about this budgeted corruption? You see? Because actually, let me tell you, right now, actually the biggest problem we are having, it is that budgeted corruption.
True.
Already hiyo ndo ile problem. Like we have a budgeted corruption in terms of salaries.
Yeah.
Already the people have already planned ghost workers. People who don't exist, they are there. Now they have their salaries in the budget, right?
And they've also inflated prices.
Yes, we have inflated prices in terms of projects. Tunajua kuna barabara that is supposed to be
10 million.
Yes, barabara 10 million.
Ni 200 million.
Ishawekwa 200 million. And you see, this is something people will just bring it on the table and you can see. So now there's something behind now kwamba mnaleta hii budget kwa meza. Now ndo tunataka hapo kwa governance. Are you able to scrutinize these budgets? Are you able to compare these budgets with what does the law say about allocating for this kind of projects? You see, that is the responsibility of your what? Of your leader. But sasa your leader is the one who is seated there. As this budgeted corruption is happening, it is your leader who is passing such bills. It is your leader mwenye ana approve your budget. Ulikuwa hapa, I know you got really surprised and you were mad at what is happening in terms of the issues of the control of budget. You were so mad. Uli complain hapa ukisema kwamba you mean these things zinasemwa but still bado zinaendelea kufanya. That is your leader, by the way.
Yeah.
It is your leader. Ameenda pale, ameona budget, amepewa budget na the budget committee, amepewa budget, akaambiwa this is what you want to spend for this.
Yes.
Na leader wako akakaa chini kabisa na akaeka tick
na akasema iko sawa,
aka-approve akasema iko sawa kabisa na ikienda ikipita kule tunaona pale, tunaona our resources are being wasted, right. And then you have nothing to do. So these things boils back to your leaders.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you've brought up this whole issue of budgeted corruption.
Yeah,
where we are already knowing in advance that this money is going to be stolen, and I just feel like going forward, I don't know how we're going to deal with this particular issue of just understanding how to deal with this particular people and what we can actually do to mitigate against this. And I know, again, it just boils down to elections and how we choose our leaders. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, in studio, we do have our guest. Finally, amefika. That is Mundalo. Mr. Mundalo, how are you doing?
I'm very fine. I'm sorry for being late.
Yes.
I got into a little accident.
Wanasemanga better late than never.
Yes, yes. That's why I have ensured I'm late than never.
Pole.
We shall try and in the remaining 17 or so minutes have the best we can as far as our conversation is concerned.
Definitely.
First of all, welcome to the studio.
Asante sana is my first time here actually.
Yes. But we shall have you more often than not. I hope you're ready for that.
No, I'm very ready. Very ready for Tuesday.
Yeah, so you're the National Youth Chair, Jubilee Party, and MD, 2 Cents Leadership Institute.
Definitely.
Briefly, what's that all about?
At the Jubilee Party, I sit on the National Executive Committee of the party. I was appointed by former President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2022. That was around February. So basically what you do there is to represent the interests of young people at the apex organ of the party. That is the National Executive Committee, and just to ensure that the interests of young people are taken care of. So at the time when we're in government is ensuring you have youth appointments, to government parastatals, you have policy that favors young people and all that.
Yeah.
And 2 Cents Leadership Institute is an organization where we do leadership training and communication consultancy.
Just to be sure
basically
of your youthfulness.
Yes.
How old are you, Mr. Mundalo?
I'm 32. Just turned 32 this year in May.
All
so
right.
I'm feeling very old.
Sisi unajua Kenya shida yetu na kwanga moja. You will find a 75-year-old person being appointed to a youth position. So now we have confirmed. Confirmed.
Very, very true. Actually, in the political space of Kenya, that is within the notable political parties of Kenya. I might be the only youth chair who is actually within the range
of the youth age gap
of the youth bracket. Most of them are actually way out of touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've seen Jubilee Party just a few days ago reorganizing itself.
Yes, last night actually.
The headlines were saying that former President Uhuru has, recaptured the reins of power as far as Jubilee Party is concerned.
Yes.
We know he's a retired president.
Yes.
Is he planning a political comeback of sorts?
There is, you see, generally in politics, a day is very long.
Yeah.
And a lot happens behind the scenes, the political tide, the political circle. And what the former president is, remember, political parties exist to capture power. And once a party captures power, one of the hardest things is now to exist after power, because you will be existing after the biggest task. And so there is a lot of jostling around. There is the conversation around Dr. Fred Matiang'i as a potential candidate for the Jubilee Party.
All right.
And he's not the only one. We actually have, it's only that he's the most vocal. But we have so many other people who are actually trying to look for the Jubilee Party ticket. And that's why there's a lot of hue and cry within the party and a lot of push and pull within the political party. So even as, that's why I'm telling you, as late as last night,
yes,
we had again a shake-up at the neck of the political party. Yeah, where many people are affected, including myself. So it's highly possible that even after this interview, you might have some people who will tell you, no, he's supposed to be the former National Youth Chair.
All right.
Okay.
But basically, that's how political parties are. And we have been in court and out of court for the last 2 years. And we are still within that time, because we are also, there are many questions. Because you ask yourself, how a registrar of political parties gazettes officials of a political party, and the registrar of political parties has been gazetted as a commission of the IEBC.
Okay.
So you see, sometimes we live in a country that has a lot of things going on.
Yes. Yeah. The question here is,
yes,
politics
or
governance, which way?
It's a thin line. There's a very, very thin line between politics and governance. Because unfortunately, to develop a country, you need the governance. But again, to develop a country, you need the political goodwill. And that's why since independence, every president has been able not to be able to go so far until they had a handshake with opposition. When they do that, is not basically for the governance of the country, it's for the politics. Because when you don't sort the politics, then the governance is not seen. Now, when you look at this particular administration, for instance, you see the aspect of the president remaining heavily political while trying to govern as well. And most of the people have said that is wrong. The president should get out of the rooftop. And then you look subsequently at what happened in the past. And you look at President Kibaki. President Kibaki had a heavy emphasis on governance. And he said, put the politics aside, let's do the governance. He brought free education. He brought double-digit economy and many things. And that was between 2002 and 2007. And that is the time he lost the election. Despite all that he did, because he missed out on the politics. He lost the election, and I think he's the only president that we are actually sure that he actually lost the election until we went into the post-election violence. We in the Jubilee Party, the same thing happened to us in the last election. And when we kept talking to our party leader and saying, why can't we be able to go this way? The party leader, President Uhuru Kenyatta, kept telling us, let's focus on the work. Let the people want to do the politics, do the politics.
Yes.
The people that we are working for will see the work. And so President Uhuru Kenyatta concentrated on the SGR project. He concentrated on building the roads, the appointments of young people and all that. But when it mattered the most, even his own people told him that you can go with your roads. Yeah? And they said, we want the hustler nation. It then did not matter what you have actually been able to do. Now that's the thin line between the politics and governance. So for you to go far, you must actually balance. It's a thin line, but you have to balance both of them.
I want to be very careful not to blame you for what is currently plaguing the country.
Yes.
But the hustler narrative was born within Jubilee because our current president is a former member of Jubilee Party.
Yes.
And he governed with President Uhuru up until he was elected back in 2022.
Yeah.
What is the Jubilee Party intending to give to us Kenyans, considering the people that govern the Jubilee Party are still more or less the same people that governed Jubilee Party even when President Uhuru was in power?
You see, what the Jubilee Party offers is, first of all, there was a semblance of Jubilee Party is really associated heavily with calmness. Yeah, you know, when you go to ODM, there is the razzmatazz that comes with ODM. The Jubilee regime at the time was heavily associated with keeping a certain calm in the country. Yeah, the things did not go as haywire. Not necessarily in terms of even the development of the politics, but just not going off radar too much. Yeah, and we had a lot of that. And the Jubilee regime was also characterized by a lot of youthfulness, because it is the first time actually when the Jubilee was in power that we started having young people holding pinnacle positions in government. That is the time we started seeing the likes of Wambui Nyutu as a commissioner at the NCC. Things like those had not been seen as before. That's when we started seeing young people like Alex Matere chairing the board at the KBC at basically 31 years old. So that's the time we started having that kind of we started having that kind of leadership. But then now, as we move forward, there is a lot of expectation that the country has. Unfortunately, one of the unfortunate things we are having is to struggle with the perception of now Jubilee Party being viewed more as a Mount Kenya party. It's we are morphing into, mostly our conversations around the party are mostly regional.
Yes.
It's about, is it DCP or is it Jubilee? And that's where the biggest problem is.
Right.
So moving forward, for the party to be able to maintain a position that it had been associated with before, it really has to look into having the right leadership in terms of the political party leader, in terms of the people who run the affairs of the party, in terms of the candidate of the party. We really have to have that a balancing act, because most of the time, again, we need not to forget that most of the time, again, the people love the party that was in power before, not necessarily because it is the best, because we have had those problems in this country where every president who leaves is the best. Yeah, when President Kenyatta
was necessarily the best, only better than the current.
He is always better than, actually, that is actually how it is.
Yes.
The president who leaves is always better than the current. Yeah, when President Uhuru was in office, there was an onslaught on him until he left social media. Today in the streets, they'll tell you, afadhali Uhuru. When President Uhuru Kenyatta was there, they told you, no. Kibaki was much better. When President Kibaki came into office, actually 2 months, I don't know why people keep forgetting this. I think because most of us in this generation were too young at the time.
Okay.
When President Kibaki was in office, 2 months after President Kibaki being in office, the headline of the Standard read, Kibaki must go. It was actually a headline on the Standard. And the people are saying, no, it was better. It was better Moi.
To have
And-
Moi.
Yes. And and that's the cornerstone of our problem, because most of the time we do not focus on solving the governance problem of the country. We always focus on the politics.
Alright.
And politics is riddled and driven by emotions.
Okay.
And that's what we are doing even today. Every government that we have had since independence, we have had it not because we reasoned, but because we were emotional. That's why today we are again using the same script and expecting different results. When we go to Mount Kenya today, it is highly possible that if you run on DCP, you are likely to be elected. So it's not about who you are, it's about the party that you've actually come with. So it's again a conversation around emotions. So for us to sort our governance right, we must start with, first of all, we must get the politics right. And for us to get the politics right, we must be devoid of emotions and start reasoning. Let's just sit down and reason and see Mbuvi for who he is and start analyzing what he's been able to do. Not in Kenya, there's a difference between when you're Mbuvi as ODM and when you're the same Mbuvi as DCP and when you're the same Mbuvi as Jubilee. The reaction of the people is different depending on the party and not depending on who you are. And then later, we start blaming the leadership for our problems when we are the first problem. We are the first point of entry of the problem of the country.
I like it how you've described the administration of Kibaki, the
Yes.
late, and how you've described the administration of the Kenya Kwanza government that is in place right now.
Yes.
How would you rate the governance, the balancing of the governance and the politics of the current administration?
At the risk of being, my opinion, not being very popular, I tend to think this is the first administration after the exit of Moi that has really tried to do a good job in balancing the politics and the governance. Because we see them continuously engaging in the politics as they try to also do the governance. I think it's because President Ruto knows very well that he came into office on the account of the mistakes of President Uhuru, because President Uhuru did not focus on the politics. Yeah. And so because he focused on the politics, the governance of that side was not able to be seen. And so he is really trying to ensure that he actually does both the politics and the governance. And that's why you'll see him on the rooftop. You will see the deputy president doing, you see projects like when you see the fundraiser projects, they are not governance projects, but they are political projects. So the first litmus experiment that we are going to have where government has tried to do that balancing act is in 2027, when we are going to see whether this balancing act actually works. Because at the end of the day, you can rarely achieve enough in governance when you don't sort the politics. And that's why there is a broad-based government.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why you have Raila Odinga into
Kenya Kwanza.
Into Kenya Kwanza. Is it because he brings a new set of ideas? That's populist to say. It is the right thing to say for the microphone and for the cameras. But the truth is that he just brings the political solution.
Okay.
There's this whole issue of the fact that now Jubilee wants to get back into the fray and front someone for 2027.
Yes.
But in terms of the youth, because right now the youth are giving the current regime sleepless nights.
True.
What is Jubilee hoping to do differently? What kind of advice are you giving your bosses at Jubilee to ensure that whoever succeeds, if they do succeed to become the president in 2027 from the Jubilee party, is going to do differently?
The first thing I try to advise whoever I get at the high levels of the governance of this country is to understand that, number one, we have a very different breed of young people as a generation as compared to the one that you are potentially used to. Today, we have a young person who is way more exposed and a young person who has access to a lot of information. Yeah. And so in handling them, we must be cognizant of that reality. When you keep blinding yourself and saying that it's not true, you don't help. Yeah. We must start by understanding that it's an exposed person. It's a person who knows what they want. And devoid of that, I also try to ensure that as a party, we are able to start having youth-friendly policies. Because the biggest problem of this country today in the category of young people that causes every other thing is unemployment. All these other issues are something that comes a ripple effect of the unemployment crisis. Of course, it's an African problem. It's not just a Kenyan problem because there is the African youth bulge. So there must be effective policy to curb the unemployment crisis, because then it does not matter what you do, there will always be a problem. Actually, Kenya is just where the testing has been done. But I can be able to promise you that what is happening in Kenya is going to spiral into other African countries, because we have a very educated young people, and then you have educated them. They have sufficiency of knowledge, they have sufficiency of skill, and then they don't know where to take it. They have nowhere to take it. They must direct that energy somewhere. And that's why you look at this government, in all fairness, there has been a lot of struggle for them in terms of trying to sort the unemployment problem in the country. In terms of creating the policy, they have tried to create a policy on what they call Kazi Maju. They have tried to create the housing project and all these. But you see, the problem is still there. They still during the Jubilee times, we tried to sort it out using Kazi Mtaani. It has now come back, but still it will not provide sufficiency of, because the youth bulge is real and the young people are too many for the available jobs. So because of that, the government must start being heavily intentional, extremely intentional on the aspect of job creation for young people, because if that problem is not solved, then there's going to be a bigger crisis. And the other conversation that people do not really want to have is that government must also, and this is not just about government, but everyone who cares about country, must also start conversing with young people to understand real issues.
Right.
Because we have become a generation where everyone fears to tell any young person the truth. And I tend to think that also is one of the causative agents. So sometimes there's also misinformation, but no one wants to sit back and say, okay, fine, we have this problem, but there is this solution.
Right.
Can we be able to have a conversation? So we are just talking at each other. People have feared. Everyone has shied away. And that's why during the last year's Maandamano, when young people said they are going to church, even the church shied away from talking to them. It simply did what they want.
Yes.
So nobody is trying to really have an honest conversation with young people and saying, okay, fine, there's this crisis, we acknowledge, but how can we help each other to come up with solutions? Because at the end of the day, solutions are what will matter. It will not be the noise. It will not be the noise that will matter. Because at the end of the day, it is the solution that is going to matter.
We literally have 20 seconds to the end of the show. I don't know, how is your schedule? Nasikia ni kama ukuja pa kesho 6 a.m. But we shall have that conversation when we leave here. But thank you so much for making, even if it was 15 minutes.
Sure.
Paul, for the accident. I hope nothing serious happened.
No, nothing very serious. At least I'm here. It's,
okay. All right. It's proof that everything is okay.
Yeah.
But we shall definitely have this conversation once again, and we need to continue it in every possible way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's meet here again bright and early tomorrow morning at exactly 6 a.m.
Hasta luego.
It's 10 o'clock.